It's the Bennington Show. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Hello.
And we start that off with a Tarantino song because this is Tarantino soundtrack week. And why not pop it in?
I'm very excited for Tarantino soundtrack.
Well, everyone should be excited about it. I believe him to be the best at soundtracks. And I mean, not, of course, the John Williams type soundtrack. I'm talking about grabbing song soundtrack. And yes, I'm saying that directly to you that Tarantino was the best. Marty Scorsese, Wes Anderson, you heard me. You guys are fine. I got nothing against you. I got nothing but love. But Tarantino was the king.
I would agree with that.
You better agree with it or else I'll go buck wild in here. Start going crazy.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You're passionate about it.
I'll turn this place into a goddamn Waco within seconds. I actually shouldn't even say that. Nowadays, people get so nervous about such things. Let me put it this way. I was joking, and I'm not even carrying. Don't worry about this crazy white people. You know what I mean? There's crazy white people out there. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to be your friend. 866-766-0339. 866-766-0339. I had a marvelous Father's Day yesterday with lobster rolls and then a family trip out to see on the big screen Jaws. Come home, salted honey pie.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty solid Father's Day when you think of it.
You know what? We should put up on the Twitter what that salted honey pie looks like. What's the place that you always get it from?
The name of the pie shop is called 4 and 20 Blackbirds, and it is in Brooklyn. And the pie is called the salty honey pie. It's like a honey custard pie with coarse sea salt on the top.
It's coarse sea salt, as opposed to what?
Fine grain.
Do they do fine grain sea salts?
I think they do.
Did we put that up on the Twitter tweets yet for the people who want to see a picture of it?
I don't see. You're right here. Just went up.
Okay, good. I want you to take a look at this, Stanley, and enjoy. And enjoy it in a big, big way. Also, I'm going to give out a prize first thing in the morning. And I've never done this in the history of the show. Wow, look at that pie.
That looks delicious.
Right, I'm going to get about that, but I'm going to ask this question. All right, Chris, you know that there's the Amity Regatta that is planned, right?
Yes.
And
Every year.
Every year it's the regatta. Well, what would be the anniversary of that in 2015? This July 4th, as a matter of fact, 2015. So you got to do a little math.
Okay.
You got to know, first of all, what the regatta was that summer, and then 2015, and we'll give you a great big cool prize. 866-766-0339. 866-766-0339. But now let's take a look at this pie. Now, I'm told this place has a lot of other terrific pies.
It does, yeah.
But I will never find out because this is going to be my go-to. As a matter of fact, I think this was the first place that I did the salt on sweet.
Yes.
That now has taken over the world.
They also do a salted caramel apple pie.
I'll never know.
Or caramel apple, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's caramel or caramel or Caribbean or Caribbean.
Either way,
yes,
whatever you
so
like.
Good, all right? We're not ISIS. We're not telling you how to think and feel. We're letting you do what you want to do. Now, Chris, I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Jaws on the big screen?
I have not.
Now, Gail, how many times did you think you have seen Jaws in your life up to this point?
Wow. I would, just to venture a guess, start to finish, probably somewhere in the 30s or 40s.
I'm gonna say, since I saw it the first time, there has to easily be an extra 30 viewings.
Right.
And yet, the excitement in that room of seeing it again on the big screen, I did not even expect. Everybody was thrilled to be there.
It was like riveting on the big screen. It was crazy. And terrifying, like I was seeing it for the first time.
I jumped backwards when Ben Garner's face popped out.
Even though you feel it coming, like I was already in like a crouched, hand over head
Right.
position, I still jumped, and there were shrieks in the audience.
There were from people who've obviously seen it 30 times themselves.
Yeah.
Also, the Kittner kid was much more disturbing. That attack seems so much more violent on the big screen. I mean, I don't even know if fucking Spielberg could get away with that today.
It's really terrifying.
A baby was chewed up. A baby.
With his little yellow raft. It was horrible.
Let's go over here. Scott in Florida. What do you got for me, buddy?
Hey, Ronnie, the answer's 90 years.
And how'd you come up with that?
Well, the sign in the billboard in the movie was celebrating the 50th anniversary, and this is the 40th anniversary of the movie, so, hey, math.
You did the addition you needed to do. Scott, you're a big winner.
All right.
Let's go over to Joey Jojo. Joey Jojo, tell us what he won.
Today, Scott wins The Life Aquatic, signed by Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, that's a grand prize, my friend.
Nice. Aquatic themed.
There was, before Jaws, no big summer movies. They thought of summertime as just a graveyard for movies. And Jaws went out big. Guess how many screens the first time they put it out on? It was like the biggest release ever of mass screens.
3,000?
400.
What?
400 screens. First of all, we didn't have as many screens as you did now. You had bigger theaters, but not as many screens. But no one had ever released it. Before Jaws, they used to take movies, put them in Philly for a while, then take those things and put them in other towns. So sometimes you would go to a movie and it would be so chewed up by the time it got to your town that you're just watching. And that's what Tarantino was doing in Death Proof when he put all those scrapes and shit, is because that's how he saw those films. But Jaws got me thinking a little bit of like, what is it that makes a great movie? Because every summer people try to make a great summer movie, and it rarely gets pulled off properly. And then every winter, people try to make the great Oscar movie. And it rarely happens. So here we go. 866-766-0339. 866-766-0339. And I'm not going to limit this to summer movies. And I'm not going to limit this to Oscar movies, because there has to be even similarities between them both. What makes a great movie? And when we figure this out, all we are going to do is make great movies, because we will have the recipe that we will sell to Hollywood and Bollywood that they will each only make great movies for us.
I know halfway through Jaws yesterday, I was just thinking to myself, is this the greatest movie of all time? Like, I don't know if it was the excitement.
Right.
But I happen to think that the reason Jaws is great, it's a great summer movie, it's a great movie in particular of any kind, is because it has great dialogue. And I think any movie, like, I could go down my list of like my favorite 50 movies, and every single one of them have great dialogue.
So you have to have great dialogue. Here's Jess in Mass. Let's see if Jess agrees with you. Go ahead, Jess.
I agree wholeheartedly, because Jaws, like Goodfellas is up there, but Jaws has to be the most quoted movie of all time. Just from like the usual, it's like, oh, we're going to need a bigger boat. But even the smaller things of like, one of the greatest scenes in that movie is when Roy Scheider is chumming, and he's got the cigarette in his mouth, and he's just miserable because Robert Shaw's just busting his chops. And he's like, yeah, why don't you come down here and do this shit? And then when the shark finally comes out, the look in his eyes, it's like, oh, it's phenomenal acting. It's like real terror. And I felt that same terror every time I see that movie. And I've seen that movie probably 30 or 40 times too.
If you get the opportunity, go back to the big screen. Now, there is dialogue in that movie that people were applauding for during the movie. You know what I mean? Because there's some stuff that isn't even so, it's not like so well written, but perform more like they're all gonna die, like where he doesn't give a shit at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like his,
we're all gonna die.
yeah, his. All right, I'm gonna give you another thing that I think every movie needs, and that's people that shouldn't be together and yet end up liking each other. If you go back and watch Cheech and Chong, right, all their movies, they meet in every movie, I think. Right. They're always like, they just act like there's no past history. And it's always cracked me up that they were never like close buddies. They were always like new buddies. All right, so you need that thing where the characters are distinguishable from each other. They've got to be different enough that even as they act like they don't like each other, we know that they're going to.
And I think that also plays into allowing small characters to steal the scene sometimes. Like Jaws has that. I think pretty much every Coen Brothers movie does that, where they allow these like little characters who maybe would normally just be extras or unnecessary one-liners.
Like some of those guys you feel like should have been used more. Chief Brody's fucking weird guy who works with him, I guess his deputy, is hysterical in every scene, and then he just disappears out of the movie. He should have at least been eaten something. You know what I mean? We liked him enough that it would have killed us if he was eaten. When he throws the rocks to get his attention, and instead of coming in, the guy just waves. It's the funniest shit ever.
He does that angry thing where he wants to yell at him for being so stupid for waving, but he's still on the phone.
He almost wants to he almost wants to take his hat off and slap him like it's the Skipper and Gilligan. All right, Stanley, give me something every great movie needs.
You have to believe that the characters and something bad can happen to the characters in the movie.
So you can lose the characters.
Yes, be able to invest in them, but then realize something terrible can happen. There's consequences.
Okay, but does that keep you from liking a Superman or a Rocky or a Batman where you know they're not going to die?
It definitely keeps you from liking an Avengers, where you know all the Avengers are going to live, and you know nothing bad's going to happen to them.
So you think that thing of not being able to lose the main character keeps a movie from being truly great?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it could be entertaining and maybe you could get a little bit invested in it, but it's never going to be a great movie if there's nothing at stake.
All right, if you look at Pulp Fiction, shocking death. Goodfellas, shocking death.
Right.
Godfather, shocking death. That all happened either early or midway through, which made you think none of the other characters could make it through this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to see Iron Man, you know he's not going to die. As a matter of fact, you know he's going to win. How about James Bond? Does that keep James Bond from being great for you?
Yeah, it definitely keeps, because it's just an action film. Bond's never going to die.
But his girlfriend might. And that's always
Could be
helpful.
very sad.
Someone close to him could die.
But a lot of times those are guarantees too. Like sometimes you get introduced to a character that you're like, all right, this person's going to die.
Yeah.
This person's going to die and it's going to motivate the main character to
Is that greatness
seek
or
revenge.
keep from greatness?
I think it keeps from greatness because you can see it from
You don't want to see it coming.
Yeah.
All right, here's Steve in Bloomington.
Hey, I think that defying expectations from what viewers are used to is the best way to make a movie great. And I think the best example of this is Star Wars, where they built the whole entire thing on art decoration, models and sets and costumes. And even though the characters were kind of strong, you have the wizard, the princess, and the neophyte kid, and the monster with the hairy costume. Nevertheless, when you saw that movie back in 1977 when it came out, it was like nothing you had ever seen before.
I remember that movie when it came out. First of all, people were just freaked out by when words were just floating through space. We're like, what the fuck is happening? And then as you're watching that, a fucking giant ship comes over your head, and the whole audience was just freaked out. But if you go back and watch that film now, it is so slow. I mean, it's 70s slow. They were in no hurry to tell a story back there. Even Jaws, how long before you get a really good look at the shark? I think it's when it's going into the pond.
Yeah.
Is the first time that you say to yourself, holy shit, that's a bigger shark than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there's already been 2 major attacks, and you still don't really know what you're dealing with or the size of the shark or anything like that.
And I don't think anyone would have the balls to do that now. Let's go over here to Andrew. Andrew.
Hey, I think what makes a good movie is a great soundtrack. In my opinion, one of the best movies with soundtrack is the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Now that is, just straight instrumentals that only existed for that film, right?
I think so, yeah.
And it's still around to this day. It still means something when people hear that little down, down, down. I mean, it's been parodied so many times. Now, the funny thing is, the soundtrack usually gets the least amount of love. Like, they finished it, then they give it to the guy and say, go. You've got fucking 15 days
Build
to
something
score
around
this, And that, it has to be great. But I would agree. I love a great soundtrack.
Well, in Jaws, I was so shocked. Like, everyone knows that the Jaws theme is so iconic and the way it's used in the movie is so great. But there's also a ton of great music throughout. Like, Spielberg uses music so well in that movie.
Well, John Williams he's a fucking slam dunk for these guys. You know what I mean? They all use him. That whole gang uses him. But do you remember, even the part, when they're like, okay, we've got the barrels in them and we're going to open up the boat.
Yeah.
There is, this just exciting music playing that everybody in the theater is pumped up for.
Right. It's not a terrifying sound.
No.
It's like, let's go get the fish.
It's adventure time. And at that point, you never think what's going to happen to Quint is going to happen to Quint. This was funny. When I was leaving last night, there was 2 ladies behind me on the escalator that I was going to guess were in their 50s or 60s. So they had seen the movie when they were younger, and they could both go like this. I never realized how attractive Quint was.
Wow.
He had beautiful eyes.
Yeah, he's very attractive.
And I'm like, why would anyone have not have known that? I got it as a kid. Quint is hard. Here's Andy. Andy in Green Bay.
Hey, buddies.
Hey.
Hey, you know what I think Jaws gets right that summer blockbusters no longer get right is the quiet moments that kind of bring you back to that emotional resonance. So, for instance, the scene where Brody and his son are at the dinner table, the mimic scene.
Adorable. So good.
Adorable. And nothing to do with the plot. But tells you everything there is to know about Brody. You look at that thing and you say he's a good dad. He's drunk. He's a cop. There's all kinds of reasons that you would think that he's a bad dad. You know what I mean?
It would also be very easy to make that scene very corny or the kid overly precocious or,
But I also think that everyone has had that moment with their dad before where you're doing something and he's just looking up at you. You're just trying to get his attention, but he's normally too busy. Chris, I know, that's when you would act like...
No.
You were tying off, too.
No.
That's what you did?
No, I didn't.
Too bad. It would have went along with the bet. But here's the thing about that. You have to care about those people. And that takes time. A lot of times with the summer action movies now, they're in such a fucking hurry, you don't get that kind of time to care about them before they're in the action, To be able to say, oh, I like this dude. And all 3 of those guys were in Jaws were all kind of assholes.
Yeah.
But you liked each one of them.
Oh, yeah. You couldn't like Quint, I don't think, anymore. He comes off so likable.
And Hooper is fucking great. He's rich and he just chases sharks around.
Dick.
It's maybe his most likable role.
Let me think. But he had quite a run there in the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
I think he went from that to Close Encounters.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
And he was also in American Graffiti.
Yeah.
And then The Goodbye Girl. He won a Oscar for that. who I believe he was like 30 when he won that.
I've never even seen that.
It's a Neil Simon. You've seen it a million times without seeing it.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't even need it's a Neil Simon about acting and overacting.
Got it.
Here is David, Utah. We're trying to build the perfect movie.
Yeah, I think a perfect movie with needs like an element of surprise, kind of like at the ending of Primal Fear, or when DiCaprio gets shot in the part where you just absolutely don't see it coming.
So you want to be shocked and surprised, but have it making sense for the movie. Because let's face it, we all felt bad when Quint died.
Yeah.
But I think if Brody would have died, no, the movie doesn't work.
Right.
And they actually wanted to kill Hooper. Instead, they sent him down under, but it would have made perfect sense for Brody to come kicking in by himself. But they were kind of smart enough to go,
that's too dark.
Yeah, this is what I mean. We've already killed a kid. An old lady came up and slapped him. You know,
my boy is dead now.
And I think the thing with, you know, the Moby Dick angle of Quint is just fucking phenomenal. You know, the fact that that's kind of a remake in a weird way without remaking.
Right.
You know,
his history with sharks.
Oh, it's
personal vendetta.
It's phenomenal how much the guy sits around thinking about sharks. The scene where he's just laughing at everybody when they think they have the shark. You know, he's not yelling out, "That's not the shark, you assholes." He's just fucking giggling. Like I'm the only smart person on this island of mental defectives. John in Texas.
Hello, Bennington.
We're done now, John. Let's stop it.
Sorry. I think that the time period, not necessarily period pieces, but has a huge influence on the movie. Like there's certain movies that can only happen in the 50s. There's certain movies that definitely the epic spanning of time periods really help it out. Like something that moves from the 70s into the 80s into the 90s, something that only takes place in the 50s. Obviously, Westerns are Westerns, but I think that
they have to really capture the time that they're from, and they have to be true to that. And that includes science fiction. You want a science fiction that feels real.
Yeah.
You don't want a science fiction that feels like, well, they're just making this up, you know? You have to believe in the time and the place. Well, here's the thing about Jaws. The reason why he could never really do it again. I mean, we would have so many things in the air right now. But if you think of that, they're alone out there on that island. There's cut off. You know, he calls some institute. They send one dude. There would be so many helicopters, news helicopters, out to spot this thing today. All kinds of GPS on it. That you wouldn't get that thing of these guys are in a kind of trapped with the shark.
I mean, at the beginning, they hadn't even alerted the Coast Guard at that point. Like, oh, no, we didn't think to do that.
All right, Joey, Jojo, I see you and Dan both looking like you're ready to make a move here. Joey, you first. What makes a great movie?
I think whenever they can take, like, a standard archetype, but then twist it, that makes for a good movie.
Give me an example.
So, like, The Godfather is kind of like a Hamlet story. You know, kid avenges his father, but the process, the setting, and everything that goes into it, and him like losing his mind, and he's just a college kid, but then he shoots this guy, and then he's forever in the mob. Like that's a different way to tell
his fate is sealed for the best reason. He wants to protect his dad, and because of that, the rest of his life is off the rails. You know what I mean? The rest of his life, he is a fucking criminal, and all he wanted to do was keep his dad safe. You know, if there was any other way, and there was only one way, you know what I mean? He was stuck by, do I walk away from this and let my family get wiped out? Because let's face it, Sonny was not a good godfather, you know?
It's a hothead.
No disrespect to him at all. But he was a fucking idiot in so many ways. Long, fucking thick penis. You can't get out of that. He needed a fat girl just to please himself. But he was not a good godfather. He never was going to be good. He'd only be good, you know, backing up some much smarter person. You know, he wasn't even going to be a good wartime Godfather because he was just had one thing just heading into it. I'm going to give you another place I think always works for a movie, and I would tell this to any screenwriter. You need to start with your main character if it's a male, but it works a lot for females too, to be in a light depression at the start of the film. Right. Their life has to be in a rut. They're doing the same things every day. They're wearing way too comfortable of shoes, you know? They're wearing sweatpants. Nothing is going to happen for them. And then they're forced to be something more than what they are right now. And that's the main thing of any character. The character has to surprise himself what he's willing to do.
Well, we had this conversation not too long ago about anti-hero, and is that a played out character? Mm-hmm. But I don't think that you can have a movie that is great without an anti-hero, because otherwise it's just a hero. What's interesting about that is
nobody likes a hero anymore.
Yeah, it's like, what's interesting about somebody who has no struggles and no
flawed. You want flaws.
Yeah, you need some flaws. Human being.
That makes me think Chris Stanley could be the greatest actor of his generation if he just put his mind to it.
Mm-hmm. I have to try.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Following you home into your apartment at night would be the perfect start to whether it's a romantic comedy or some kind of adventure thing, or you're pulled in over your head. Yeah. Because it's going to be so sad, those opening scenes. Yeah. Oh. You know, even though I'm not particular in real life, I like guys that are very at the beginning of the movie, they've got a little system going. I always think, oh, what a fucking weirdo. Wait till he sees what's going to happen to him when the bullets start flying. All right, let's go over to Dan. Dan's going to surprise us here because he's a writer himself. He thinks about writing. What makes for the perfect movie, Dan?
Well, I think a lot about something Marshall Brickman said. He's the guy who co-wrote Annie Hall.
We're all familiar with Marshall Brickman.
Yes.
Okay? We're not fucking slackjaws.
But he said that whenever someone pitches him a movie, they'll be like, oh, it's about a car race or it's about a adventure. He's like, tell me the story in terms of a relationship. And I think that's true with a lot. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship or a friendship, but I think every great movie at its core, it's someone trying to connect with someone else or something.
You got to have that human thing. Yes. It's got to be the human experience. And that's why in a good sci-fi, we identify with the character, or hopefully even more than one character. And don't lean on the past of other movies. You know what I mean? Like, I hate anytime I see a rom-com that has the Big Chill dancing scene in it. You know what I mean? Right. Like, the first time the Big Chill danced around the Motown, everybody loved it. They're all like, hey, I've danced around with my brothers and sisters while we were doing the dishes, but we can't see it every movie.
I'm going to take that. This would be great in my film.
I don't want to hear three girls yell, shopping! Yeah. And then we go into that montage.
Margarita time!
Yeah.
Woo!
Big Al in Florida.
Joe, how you doing? I love the new show.
It's great.
Gail is awesome.
Yes, she is.
You're awesome.
I was going to say location, Ronnie. Like the
I know this.
The Godfather and...
I have stayed with some bad movies because there was a great house in the Hollywood Hills or a Manhattan apartment or a Malibu beach house. And I've spent time thinking about living in that exact place.
I'm going to go back to the Coen brothers here. Every one of the settings, I think, takes the role of almost a character in the film.
All right, give me an example.
So Fargo... Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Raising Arizona.
Right, up to this point, I haven't seen any of these.
What?
So, yeah. Are they good? I'll just ask that.
They're great.
Yeah, and they leap into those places with them.
Right.
I'm trying to think, what was that Peter Riegert movie where he goes to Scotland and he's a Texas oil man and he wants to buy the beach in Scotland?
Is this the one where it's like northern Scotland, where the Northern Lights?
Northern Lights, where what's the name of it, Chris?
Local Hero.
Yeah,
I felt so in love with that beach, that community, where you thought, I wonder if a person like me could just move there and be part of it. I remember there was another Scottish film in the early '80s that played a lot It never played, I don't think, in the heroes here, in the theaters here, but because of like the way HBO was then, where they would rerun things, and it was called Gregory's Girl, and it was just
that movie.
I love that movie so much. But you're just like, I want to live in that little community in Scotland, a place that you never have thought about before, or never was into it, and they can do that so well. If I think that people have to have some connection to that.
I actually was thinking that for the first time about Amity watching it. Like, oh, like it really is this beach town that we've probably all been to, and it's kind of frozen in time, and it's still like does the same tradition, and it's still got the same small people and the same.
Right. Here's what's great about those. If you were 19, you want to move out of that town. Mm-hmm. If you're 40, you want to live there forever. Doc Hollywood was that way. That was a town you would want to move out of. It's so corny. It's so weird. But as soon as you've had some experiences, you're like, man, a town like that where I know everybody and we do these little things every year and it's corny and fun. Yeah, that always feels great. Let's go over here to, here's Sam in Texas. Sam, what's it take to make a great movie?
Multiple genres in one movie. I saw back in the 70s, it was called Swashbucklers. It had Robert Shaw and James Earl Jones were two pirates, and there was Red Ned Lynch, and the name of the ship was called the Blarney Cock. Oh, my God, it was hilarious.
All right, so you want... everything's terrible in this thing, Chris. Her phone sounded terrible, and my mic sounded terrible. You want multiple genres in one movie. It's kind of what works, I think, for Star Wars. You know what I mean? Where they're acting like it's a Western and a sci-fi and kind of a samurai film. It's a hard thing to pull off.
It is hard, but anytime you want anything to have weight, I think if you spend time with the characters and you laugh with them or you think that they're cool, like you kind of have to set that up first. Like I always think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like you spend so much time like laughing with those characters, and really but then that makes the end so heavy. If you had just come out the gate with this is a really heavy movie from start to finish, I don't think the end would mean what it does.
It's true because he suffered and then also enjoyed throughout that whole thing. So a genre movie that doesn't know it's a genre movie, you know what I mean? That doesn't like, hey, let's do a genre movie, but it's these people that again you care about, but just happens to be in a certain genre. We're going to fix Hollywood today. By the way, this is up on the iBang. Our good friend Jermaine Lassire has left Slash Film, and today he starts at, I think it's 109.com, where he's the big cheese there.
IO9.
IO9. Okay, thank you. So that's very, very cool. It's very, very cool. Let's go over here to Chris in Indiana.
Yeah, hey, Ron. I would think you got to have some humor. So you need that, maybe just a one-liner or something that makes you laugh, that makes you, feel like the film is kind of lighthearted and that you're having fun.
And then you went back to that other thing that Gail was talking about. Here's Gregory in Montreal. Gregory.
Hey, man. I'm thinking that the great movie's got to have some originality to it. Like no sequels, no reboots, no remakes. It's got to be It's got to be a fresh.
Well, that's not, that's really not up to them. You know what I mean? Like, particularly now, it's become increasingly difficult for anybody to write anything original and have people jump on it. But you also don't know whether if you write a good movie, whether they're going to keep going on with it. I thought the first Terminator, I was done. That was perfect to me. Everything since then had more to do with action and sci-fi and all that. But that first one had very little CGI or any of that kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't really blame the movies that are being remade now, because it seems like that's the only way to make a movie.
Yeah, it's the only way to get one done.
Reboot things.
We put something up on the iBang the other day. I don't know where it came from, but there's something like 137 remakes or sequels in some condition of being explored right now.
Come on, that's too much. That's insane.
I don't blame them because the fucking asshole audience doesn't go out unless they've heard of it before. And let's say this Jurassic World, which has made $400 million, right?
Yeah.
If you would have called this Dino Park or Raptor Vision or whatever, it would probably do 25% of what it's done as it is today. If you don't change anything, you leave it exactly the same. And you don't put in Jurassic in it.
Well, we talked about the Point Break reboot.
Yeah.
We would not, we were blaming why would you even reboot Point Break? But also, we wouldn't be talking about it. If this was just some action movie where guys do extreme sports and they go like base jumping or whatever, we would never even think to have a conversation. But now everyone's going, what do you think about this new Point Break?
Fucking pisses me off, doesn't it?
I'll go see it, though.
I'll go see it to rip its ass.
Where's Brody?
Let me tell you something. And you know what? That's a good thing. Every good movie has a Brody in it. Remember that.
Either Brody or a Bodie. Either way.
You got, Brody, Bodie. It's got to rhyme with Odie in some fucking sense.
I'll even accept a Birdie if you can work her into
Sure. I'd watch a movie about Birdie. Adam in Iowa.
Oh, hey, Ronnie, how we doing? Yeah, I was enjoying a nice table scene in a movie. You know, you got good fellas, they're all sitting around, taking them to kill that guy, and they stop with their moms, have a dinner. You got Godfather, the diner. I don't know, I just always enjoy a nice table scene.
You want to see people sitting down together.
But that's going back to dialogue. All of those scenes are dialogue heavy scenes, and it's like kind of like how a play allows characters to be stuck in one room and they have a conversation. They use that in film, I think, with a meal, because you're like, everybody has to be sitting here. There's nothing that's going to make anyone get up and go. And, I think
I always remember that opening thing from Reservoir Dogs. And what was so shocking about that is nothing that they talked about pushed the movie forward. And that was so funny and exciting at the time. You're just like, I'm just watching these fucking dudes talk. And everybody loved it. And you could tell that they were dangerous, strange men, Fucking Tarantino is talking before we even see him in that scene. And it's, I believe it's Like a Virgin is the first thing that comes up. And it's still dark and he's talking about it. And you're just like, I mean, if you really think of who Tarantino is today, that is amazing. That's the opening scene of the first Tarantino we ever get to see. Mike in Alberta.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I've just been listening to your show, and I thought it hasn't been brought up yet, but I feel like a good movie has to be, it has to touch into everybody's inner child kind of thing.
What about porn? I think that's wrong.
Should not touch your inner child.
I said good movies, okay? But,
okay, I know you don't like porn. Fine.
Weirdo.
They make gay porn too, so don't be too turned off.
There's something for everyone.
All right, the inner child thing, it's such a tricky deal because, you want to come back to feeling like that sense of wonder or whatever that you saw, like in E.T., but you can fuck that up so easy.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if we use Jaws as the example, I guess when you do, I mean, he's an adult with adult problems. Jaws? No. Chief Brody is an adult.
Oh, okay.
But I guess the childlike thing would be once he gets out on the water and he's like, I'm doing something I've never done before. I don't know.
I don't know whether there's a childlike thing of wonder other than it's a man going on an adventure.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which, let's face it, how many stories? They say there's only 2 stories. Man goes on an adventure and a stranger comes to town.
Which Jaws is both, actually, because he is the stranger who's just come to town. And then
Jaws?
No,
Jaws
Brody.
is a stranger who came to town, though.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what is this fucking dude about? He's not going to leave us alone. I mean, if you think about it, is Jaws high noon? Yeah. Everybody else in the town panics. One dude's ready to fucking put it out there. He's ready to protect his town. He's trying to save August for everybody. I think he saved 4th of July. Tell you the truth.
August, you're the mayor of Shark City.
You're the mayor of Shark City right now. Isn't that funny? There's no cursing in that movie at all, and you don't even notice it?
Wow, I guess I never really
Because you think
thought
he would
about
say,
it.
"You're the fucking mayor of Shark City, you dick."
Don't you realize what's happening?
Benny in PA. How you doing, Benny?
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, movies with really strong antagonists where you're cheering on the antagonist. Where it's like, the Joker, Freddy, Jason, I think that's key. You kind of even want them to win a little bit. You're not going to, but you want them to.
See, I think that only happens in sequels. When you went back to Jaws 2 and 3, people cheered for Jaws. People started to cheer for Darth Vader. And then you had to switch it.
Right.
They actually even in Hannibal, as you got to second and third, they started to cheer for that guy.
Yeah.
That's why I guess the Terminator thing was brilliant, to turn the Terminator into a good guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we're off the track. Now we're just about movies and not being lost in the experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
you better know.
I mean,
it's
I
your
do.
job to know today. We're fixing movies.
I think that I would disagree with that one, that you don't want always to want the bad guy to win.
I never do. Not on the initial thing. I want to fucking hate the bad guy. Now, I will, if there's a movie following the bad guy, yes. I'll cheer for him to get away. I don't know why. That's just the thing of that perception of like, oh, we're following the killer. Run, get away.
Right.
Try to kill again in some other town. I hate to see, I've never seen a jailbreak movie that I've never rooted for the jailbreak people. Get out.
You almost never want the cops to catch up with whatever character, as long as you're following them.
Yeah, if I'm following the cop, I want him to win every single time. But if I'm following the criminal, run, criminal, run. Get away. Let's go over to Joe in Oregon. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Bennington.
Hey.
This might be a twist to the theme, but I think a great movie develops certain things, such as rides. The original Raiders, the original Pirates. You watch when Jurassic Park comes next year. They're going to have that little sphere.
Well, first of all, I couldn't disagree anymore. But, I mean, most of these things, all they're doing is slapping the name on a roller coaster anyway. But if you compare, say, the Back to the Future ride to the movie Back to the Future, it's ridiculous. And Pirates was a ride before it was a movie. Now, they thought they could redo it with Tomorrowland. But it didn't work out for them. But I heard from some people that they liked Tomorrowland.
Did that release already?
Yeah, release in two.
Came and went.
It's getting everybody fired.
Wow.
I really wanted to see it. Everyone started freaking out on it.
You really wanted to see it bad?
Yeah, I saw the trailers. This looks great.
You got anything left this summer you really want to see? I guess Ted 2 for you?
Ted 2. That's a big one for me. I already got tickets, actually. Trying to get into a screening beforehand and then go pay for it. I never know whether you're
kidding or not.
You're going back to see Jurassic Park again.
Jurassic World, excuse me.
Yes. Jurassic World.
Are you really going back?
No, I'm not going to go see Jurassic World. That movie was insane. It was batshit crazy.
We're going to announce the Unmasked again today, Chris?
Yes, we are.
I feel like this, we've already announced it before.
We did, but...
This is a new one.
Not really.
Newish.
That's the Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan Unmasked rescheduled. Happening now Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m. at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City. TheIBang.com for your free tickets. That's the Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan Unmasked, happening Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m. at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City.
Whatever the opposite of excitement is, you bring to an announcement.
Yay!
That was so depressing.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought I was being professional.
Yes, that's not what we're looking for. You would be doing great if you were telling the kids what lunch was going to be on Thursday at the cafetorium. That's half cafeterium and half auditorium.
Nice.
All right, so Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan together at Caroline's. What's the date, Chris?
Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m.
Here's Sue in Jersey. Hey, Sue.
Hi, buddy. I I teach English in a middle school.
Okay, I got radio shows.
Thank you, I know. For another day, no one else this summer. Don't make brag. Anyway, every great young adult novel we've come across this year reading with the kids is being made into a movie.
Yeah, it is.
And I think kind of like what that kid was saying, a guy earlier was saying about like connecting with your childhood experiences, that might have something to do with it.
Well, I think it's because they're the only readers left in America that kids will go out and get books. It's the only part of any bookstore that moves merchandise.
It's true. I will agree. And and the same thing goes with they like the names, like the John Green book. But those are also so heavy on dialogue and not so much on sex and boobies and stuff.
Well, there seems to be this thing for young adult books and movies now, that it's some future world that you're forced into, this is who you will be for the rest of your life, but then you are the chosen special one and you destroy that. But we're all going through the sorting hat every fucking movie.
Because kids want to feel special. Yeah.
But there is those John Green books like The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska, which I do recommend. I know the movie came out very sappy, but the book, you can relate to teenagers and the way they talk. It's exactly the way they speak to each other. And there's another one, Rainbow and Park, and Wonder. These are really good books that really explore relationships. The language in it is really, really wonderful. If they would keep the dialogue true to it, that they'll go places. But again, they also look at what's going to make money.
You know what I saw that the kids liked a lot with the Young Book was the benefits of being a wallflower or something like that.
The perks, yeah.
Okay. And that, I thought, well, this is a nice movie for kids, until they had no idea who Bowie was and who did Heroes. And I was just screaming at the TV. You never fucking heard of Heroes. You have a YouTube. You should be rocking this shit every day. And then I thought I should be a teacher and I would just play it first day of school.
Let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah. If you want later, we'll go riding around in my truck and I'll let you out on the back. Nobody ran for Heroes during this. Any other time, they're just on any song reference to. All right, thank you so much. So, peace.
All right, take care.
With
they've taken over, by the way, the young adults,
Yes.
the YAs.
But I think that the reason that it's successful in film and in books is because we've all had the experience of
Right.
youth. So it's very hard to say, like, this is a story about an elderly woman who I think we can
Right.
all relate to. But there's something about youth that everyone's been through it. And
Not only that, but as you get older and you watch those movies, you feel smarter because you're like, this is what they should do.
Right.
You know? I would always say to Soda Pop Curtis, you don't need to hang around with those people just because you grew up there.
Yeah.
You might find yourself joining a nice sports team. Lewis in Manhattan.
Hey, what's up, guys? First off, when I was a kid, I used to call Jaws. I used to think his name was George.
George, watch out for George.
Yeah,
Here comes George.
I always tell my parents, I want to go see that George movie. They're like,
Well, too bad they didn't have YouTube then. You're adorable.
But anyway, I think that where a movie takes place, the setting in a movie is really important. Like you were talking about Star Wars, and it borrowed from a lot of different other movies, but what really made it work was it was set in space. You know, George was set on the
Charles
island.
Lucas. Charles Lucas made Star Wars. Star George, as you called it as a kid. And then the George father.
Yeah.
Can we go see George, fellas? It's supposed to be good. Romeo and Georgiette. I mean, he was fucking obsessed.
He loves George.
Years later, they found out a man named George touched him inappropriately. He couldn't stop talking
This
about
makes a lot of sense now. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, dude.
All right, man.
Up on the iBank today, Bryan Cranston shows up as Walter White. And what was who was the DJs that were on stage?
That was the above and beyond were the EDC DJs.
Right, that should be on this list. Or the button. He hit the button, and then everyone started dancing. But the DJs aren't even touching anything. But the kids love Walter White.
How is that Wait, so Walter White's with the DJ?
Yeah, just play it, because the song is called Walter White, right?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So, they're at this thing in Vegas. All the kids are all whacked the fuck out on Molly. And
fucking desert.
Yeah, in the middle of the desert, and they're all just having fun. And then Walter White comes out. And these dudes, I guess, do a song where they have drops of Walter White talking. So there he is walking out on stage. So these mollied up weirdos have to say it. Look how cool he is.
Say my name. You're goddamn right. Walter White, above and beyond.
Now he hits the button to start the song. And look, the DJs are just hugging him. They're not doing any work at all.
Thank you for showing us how easy it is, Walter White.
He said it was the best $175 he ever made. Just walked out, yelled a couple quotes, and pushed a button.
Is this the drop?
Look at him, though. He's into it in a big, big way. This ain't his first rave.
He's got that pogo down. I don't know if they still call it a pogo.
I would. It's 77, and Talking Heads are big. All right, more up on the iBang. The guy who hit A-Rod's, who caught the ball for the 3,000 hit, will not give it back. And he is a professional ball hawk. Yeah, he's gotten over 8,000 balls in his life. Most, just
bullshit.
Pregame. Yeah, pregame balls. But this is the ball. And the Yankees have said, hey, can we have it back? We'll give you something else. And he's like, absolutely not.
So is there a code here that most people follow that you usually...
Well, Jeter's ball was given back to him.
Okay.
Some balls are sold on the open market. This ball, they said, is worth $50,000. Now, if this was 15 years ago, those things used to go for $1 million in those days. But yes, what the normal Yankee fan expects is give the ball back. You get some seats.
Bat.
You get a bat and some other stuff from the Yankees. Does this bum you out, Chris, or is he a Yankee fan?
It doesn't bum me out because this guy, this is basically this guy's job. He's written books about doing this. Now,
one book. There's not books to write.
Well, there's so many pages to the book, though.
There's nothing more that you say than get a good place and run and fight. They said they've seen him push children away before.
Oh, no.
He says that that's not true. But it's a weird job to have, catching people's baseballs.
It's bizarre.
It's a strange thing to do. But yes, in the old days, you would just give it back. But now, it's not like anyone likes A-Rod. And by the way, it would not be difficult for A-Rod to come up and say, look, this means a lot to me. Here's 50 or 100 grand. It wouldn't change A-Rod's life, and yet it would be life-changing to the guy who has this ball.
Yeah, A-Rod's got hundreds of millions of dollars banked up. Hundreds.
I feel like you've got to be the classy guy, though. You've got to say, take whatever they're offering you. And
I think if it was Hank Aaron, yes, you would be right. You know what I mean? But those, the classy days of baseball have left us. It's no longer anything but a greedy money-making thing. I mean, A-Rod is the perfect example of that, But I get what you're saying. If you're a Phillies fan, you'd want to give Mike Schmidt the ball back.
But it's not like this guy is a fan specifically.
Well, you'd have to be somewhat of a fan of baseball, and particularly the Yankees, to do this over and over. It's fandom and obsession. But really, I don't give a shit either way. I don't care what happens. But that's up on the iBang. It's an interesting story. I thought this one was kind of weirdly fascinating, that there's this one third grade class that spends 75% of their day just working on the iPad.
Yeah, and on Long Island, the school district is like, listen, kids, no more pens and pencils. Just here, take your iPads. We do all of our work on the iPads from now on. And they go home with them, and basically the iPad just replaced textbooks and everything else.
I don't think it's that odd when you think about it.
It's probably the way we're moving anyway.
Right.
So it's not like they said they're playing Angry Birds 75% of the day.
Right,
like-
if they were playing Angry Birds. But now the difference is, I guess they have the ability to play Angry Birds at school. Like, I didn't go to school with my toys. You know what I mean? Because I can't imagine paying attention to geography if I had my toys there.
Right, which is the problem for everyone. It's the same problem.
yeah,
why
at
it's
work.
at work.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you are able to distract yourself the way you are by having either your iPhone or even just your computer. Like,
But a lot of people act like they're working, like if you're in a meeting and everyone's sitting around and you're talking, like, maybe we ought to do that other thing. And then you'll hear, like, a minute later, a person comes up with, like, here's what that thing was, the specific name. You're like, yeah, we've moved on. Like, in the past, you were able to go, hey, maybe we should do something like that burger joint in Wildwood does. And everybody at the table would know what you were talking about. You just didn't have the specific name.
Right.
Now someone feels like they're doing good work by going, O'Malley's. The name of that place is O'Malley's.
That's it.
Thank
so
you.
what, fucko? You're fucking adding
hate that
zip
guy.
to this, yeah. Well, I just see him wasting time and thinking that he's busy. I got that O'Malley. I looked up that O'Malley's. I could get fucking Siri to do that for me right now.
You're just as good as Siri, guy.
Yeah. You are the next Siri. Congratulations, asswipe. So it doesn't bother you that those kids are.
No, I think it's probably just the direction.
Doesn't bother those kids are on the App Store.
See, that's all she's come up with. And she said on the App Store.
Right.
Here's my new thing to do with Siri. Ready? Oh, wait, I gotta fucking. Now it's already hearing me. And doing all this.
No. No, it's Google.
Siri, don't listen to this.
Yeah, it's just clear, Siri. Claire! Claire, you're going on forever.
I'd blush if I could.
All right, shut up.
What?
Ready? Here's what I
What'd
like to
you
do to
say?
Siri. It's not unusual to be in love with anyone.
Here's what I found on the web for It's Not on Georgia. Want to remove was older warm.
What? No, Siri.
No, it's not on Georgia.
She can't understand singing at all.
That's fucking weird.
I'm caught in a trap. I can't walk out.
I don't see Trap Okay We Go in your contacts. Locations by that name.
Nobody said anything about contact.
Trap Okay We Go. You know my friend. Trap Okay We Go.
Siri, you know him.
Yeah, no, she thinks you're mad at him. Ready? I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. Here we go. She's not even answering back now.
Siri just can't take you seriously.
Fuck is Siri's problem?
My name is Siri.
No, fuck.
Come on.
No fucking care.
Come on, Siri.
Siri, you dick. Herschel Walker is lying and saying that he wants to come back in the NFL instead of saying, I just want people to talk about me more. But Chris and I ran into him the other day in the lobby here. He's a fucking bag of cement, this guy.
Really?
Yeah.
He's ripped.
How old is he?
53 years old.
52, I think. And I don't know if I would say he's ripped as much as I would say he's thick.
Just solid, like a solid dude.
Yeah. Like beyond, like you've never met. Like you would not be surprised to see people just throwing trash in the back of him because he looks like a giant garbage truck, but more attractive. Speaking of which, Kimbo Slice is still fighting.
Really?
And there's
Yes!
a thing of him knocking out Ken Shamrock, who, by the way, is still fighting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ken Shamrock's like 50. Kimbo's 40. And they fought over the weekend on Bellator Sports, which is, I guess, slightly under UFC.
Yeah.
And then and they had them both fight. Now that's their new thing.
What do you think these middle-aged men got paid to get hurt like this?
I'm going to guess $100,000 each.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. I mean, even like the regular MMA purses aren't gigantic from what
Why?
I've heard. I don't know. It seems like it's incredibly popular.
Seems like Ken Shamrock should not be taking bumps
No,
right
I
now.
agree.
Like at his age.
Well, at 50, you don't want to be knocked out.
Yeah.
It's not good for you.
He got knocked the hell out.
You only got so many fucking brain cells left. And the last thing you want is someone kicking those brain cells.
I mean, Kimbo beat the hell out of him. He crushed his head. And now the same Bellator, this company, they want to get Royce Gracie back into it too, who's like 50 years old, and he was like the original guy to win UFC. The guy that jiu-jitsu.
But that was even before it was UFC, right? Or at least the way it is now.
No, yeah, it
was like when it could go on for half an hour. It was terribly boring.
It was a tournament.
Yeah, it was just terribly fucking annoying.
A lot of rest holds.
Yeah, you would just get somebody against the fence and stay that way.
And just grind the dude down.
All right, Johnny James says it's hard to imagine Ron playing with toys even when he was a small child. You caught me. I don't even think I remember any toys that I had.
Yeah, you don't seem like somebody who would be. Well, I don't know. I see you as more like a imagination type kid.
I was an imagination kid.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, saying shit like this. Okay, we're on Mars right now, right? Except for Spain is attacking. I don't know how they're doing it. We gotta set up some shit here. We gotta fucking drive Spain away from Mars. Now, who's with me on this? Bri Olsen is giving some advice to young girls. She's saying, don't go into porn. She says, even though the sex workers were great and the porn business itself was great, people will look at you a certain way after you've done porn. They will not see you the same way.
Sure. I think that if there's anyone to listen to, it would be Bri. She probably knows. You could argue with her that it's not true or that whatever your feelings about pornography are, but I'm sure that she's coming from a place of great experience.
I think she has a family now, right?
Yeah, she's a kid.
And she's not demonizing sex workers.
She's saying,
not even saying that I regret it fully, but she's like, this is a choice that I cannot undo.
She said you'll be treated differently by society at that time. Now, I met Bri before. She came in and she got hypnotized with Fez. And I think she had just done O&A that morning. I think she was dating Opie or Jimmy. I can't remember which one at the time. But she was so much fun and so sweet and so creative running with this bit with Fez where she felt like she was in love with Fez. And then Fez had to go away to war and she was crying. And then he would come, then I would wait, Fez is back. And Fez would come running back in and she would be all happy. And she was really, really a great person and a nice person. So that part of it seems sad to me that people would judge her, now.
Well, I think it's funny that anyone has a place to say, like, here's the line that I draw personally, and I'm going to judge you for drawing it somewhere else.
Well, what about a murderer? Could you be friends with a murderer?
Is he funny?
Yeah, funny murderer.
Okay.
Really cool. He's cool. He's
I like a good sense of humor.
First of all, here's the thing. He knows where all the great little places to eat in town is.
Okay. This
guy sounds great.
He's really funny.
Sure.
Only listens to vinyl, and he's got this great vinyl shit at his house. He lets you borrow albums. He knows, like, bookstores and stuff like that. But he was also a mass murderer. Back in the 90s, though, when that kind of shit happened.
Okay.
Regularly.
I will give you an example of someone doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a conversation with a girl. I'm not going to name any names. I don't even know her that well. But I was in a conversation with this girl. There was another guy there. And she was talking about being this foot fetish worker.
Okay.
And she gets hired. She got hooked up with these people. She gets hired. They, touch her feet or they like lick her shoes or whatever. She does all this weird stuff, right? And the fella in the conversation said, so what was it like being a sex worker for you? And she was like, excuse me? And was like utterly offended and was saying like, I would never sleep with someone. And it's like, how could you judge someone for doing anything like that when somebody could eat, like we could have sat here and went, ew, you're a pig. Why would you ever do something like that? But we sat there and were interested in what your take on why you chose this life and how you got. And she was so offended about being called a sex worker and said, I would never do anything like that.
You're like, hey, easy, toesies.
Yeah.
Let's give it a fucking
Calm
rest.
down.
A lot of guys jack looking at your feet.
Why do you think
and that's what the sex is about.
Yeah. Just because you're not having sex.
Just because you're not turned on by the foot thing doesn't mean that other people are.
Orgasms are happening.
This is funny. Someone wrote, Ronnie B should change the name of Siri to Fez, because there's never no answer and locks up. I would agree. I had a friend who was a playmate, and then when she had kids, she became terribly nervous. Like, oh, they're going to grow up and see me as a playmate one day, and I go, I don't think they're going to judge you that way. I think they're going to think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And now it just seems dull that somebody was a playmate.
It's very tame.
Yeah, it's just really
retrospect.
left behind.
Nude model.
They're like, yeah, that's her, but she's airbrushed so much that's not even her tits.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the way pornography has become, that's like a cheesecake of the 1950s or whatever.
Right.
It's just like showing a little shoulder.
But here's the thing. If you had a kid and he was playing with someone that used to do porn, you would go look it up to see that.
Yes.
And that's the problem with it, you know?
And it'll be easily findable. We just find the name.
Everything is easily findable. But yes, you judge. I mean, there was a time in this country that if somebody went to rehab, right, if they were an alcoholic, they were kind of unhireable. And now no one blinks. They're just going like this. Great. You got it taken care of then, right? I am thinking about the same thing. I just don't have that kind of time to take off. But everyone thinks themselves, even if they don't drink too much, they'd like to go away for a month and arrange their life a little bit.
Sounds great.
But there was a time that was the worst thing that you could say. It was why people kept it quiet. They thought it was something that only happened to merchant marines, and homeless people.
I went to school with 3 girls who were doing pornography while they were in college. That's how they were making money. And was just full obsession with everyone around me about their videos, their new videos, and everything about them. And yet, I don't know, I think the same people weren't ever that interested in following up on anyone else. It was whether it was negative or positive attention, it was an obsession with the fact that, these girls,
guys or girls,
both.
We're both
fascinated with the fact that it was I have a class with her. And,
the porn girl?
Yeah, I have a class with her.
Well, remember with the girl from Duke, it blew up on the whole fucking country it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the only college kid out there.
Yeah.
Is it the name Duke or?
Who knows? I don't know why it became that way, because I went to school with 3 girls, all in varying degrees, I would say. Some a little mild, some more intense. And it was a pretty small school, considering. Right. So you have to figure it's that way on most college campuses. Yeah, and who knows why they focus on one versus the other.
Yeah. You have to look at a school the size of Ohio State or Syracuse and have to think there's probably a lot of girls that at least have one video uploaded. And then the whole spring break girls going wild thing.
Right. Half.
So, Bri, the world's going to catch up with you. But I think you'd be lucky to have your kid play with Bri Olsen's kid.
Yeah. Why are you going to judge?
She never would have been a goddess if it weren't for the porn.
You got to bring back the Charlie Sheen. And look how, he does it as a joke, like you and I were being serious. Yeah. But he's being very judgmental.
How?
How could
with
you
the Charlie
judge her?
Sheen thing? I got it.
That was a good thing for her.
Come on, you're joking.
Don't judge her.
Maybe not in hindsight. It's very good for her. I'm just saying, it was a weird time for everybody.
What are you talking about? It was a weird time for you?
What was so weird about it for you?
It's very surprised Charlie Sheen was that off the rails.
Let's put up best dog ever. You've got to see this dog. First of all, I'm going to warn everybody, including you, Stanley, that you might be in tears by the end of this. All right, you know how people act like no one but a blind person needs a service dog, right?
Sure.
Now, this is a service dog with a young lady who has... does it say right there what her problem is, Chris?
No, it doesn't. Oh, Asperger's.
All right, Asperger's. So because of this Asperger's, sometimes she strikes herself. She'll get so frustrated that she'll strike herself. This dog is here to make sure that this doesn't happen. I had no idea that a dog could do this or would even think about it. But just play it a little bit, Chris, and we'll explain it. There she is hitting herself. Turn the sound up. And look at the dog is going after her hands and then trying to get her to hug. Now watch Watch what the dog does. She's hitting herself. The dog is taking his paws and pulling her hand down, and now look, forcing her into a love situation. Is that amazing?
It's so incredible.
Did you know that a dog could do such a thing, or that they could be trained for that?
I've never seen something like that in action before. I've heard that service dogs are used for all sorts of things, but
This
it's
dog
amazing.
knows that she shouldn't be hitting herself. He gets on his hind legs and physically holds her arms down while he sticks his nose up on her to try to get a hug and change her mood.
Not to mention to think that this is an animal who is seeing aggressive behavior and is smart enough to know, like, she won't, or is intuitive enough to say, like, listen, just be nice to me. Like,
right, I'm here for you.
Yeah, and normally an animal would see that kind of behavior and either be like afraid or act with aggression back.
Right. That dog, look how he takes his paws and pushes her away from punching herself.
Ridiculous.
This dog is the best dog ever. Its name, Little Ronnie B.
Oh my God.
That's what I do for the listeners.
He's quite a racer, I've heard, as well.
Yeah. It's the same dog that races around and wins races everywhere. This dog is like a super dog. This dog is nicer than most people I've ever met in my life.
And then people wonder why, people have more care for animals than humans.
Now, the what's that called? Self, when you're hurting yourself?
Self-mutilation.
Well, she's not mutilating. She's punching herself.
Harm.
Discipline. Harm is probably
I
better.
would only do this with others. It would never even occur to me to be so frustrated I would hit myself. Now, I get frustrated enough, I'll hit others.
Right. And
Or
then this
hit
dog will have to show up.
things.
You don't want to hurt that guy.
Yeah.
You're just upset.
And I'd be like saying to the dog, you're never on my side. Why can't you once back me up? I would say, what percentage of people do you think that this dog is better than?
I would say 65%. This dog has a better heart and probably better instincts than 65%.
I'm going to up you a little bit. I'm going to go higher on this. 100%. That if Obama could do for the country what this dog does for this young lady, that's all we want out of a president. Stop us from hurting ourselves.
Help us.
Yeah.
Lick our faces until we behave correctly. Obama.
I cannot believe that dog could be so unbelievably great. Hey, John. Is this our buddy John in Mass?
Yeah, hey, buddy.
Hey, pal, long time. How's everything going?
Oh, pretty good. Loving the new show, man.
Thank you.
They have dogs that are trained to sense when people have epileptic seizures, like to get them to, pull their car over. They can sense it like up to a minute beforehand to pull off the road or to stop whatever it is they're doing before they have the seizure.
This is why Chinese people can't eat dogs.
It's pretty incredible, ain't it? Take care, buddies.
See ya.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how great these dogs are.
I also have just recently learned about service dogs who sense allergies. Like, that's so incredible that a dog could sense.
Yeah,
to a child, stay away from that. You can't eat that. I don't know what they do. I'm not sure what tactics they use, but they're used to sniff out whatever that person is allergic to if they have a fatal allergy.
I like those dogs so much better than the dogs that sniff out drugs and then squeal on you.
Yeah.
Those dogs are awful.
Yeah.
But these dogs are great. I did not know. Isabella Rossellini trains dogs. And she trains service dogs up to a certain point and then hands them over. But you can do that no matter who you are. You have to pass all these tests.
Right.
But I think I would go like this. Once I got it trained, I'd be like, I think I'm going to keep this service dog for
This
myself.
one's so nice. I'm going to keep him. We just really have a really special bond. So.
I need service.
You know what was the greatest thing that happened to me on Father's Day yesterday?
What's that?
Your dog walked past your mother to give me a great big hug.
I know.
Like she knows
she
it's a special
knew.
day. I'm not even making that up.
She
and
knew.
that never has happened before.
She knew who the guest of honor was. This dog is incredible. I can't stop watching it.
Best dog ever. I think that's what I would name him. Best dog ever.
Mm-hmm.
Best dog ever. Get in here. I'm feeling like I'm going to hit myself.
Sometimes you can call him Bestie.
I didn't know that people even had that thing where they start to punch themselves in the head.
Yeah, I know that's a certain.
That's from Asperger's.
Yeah, like certain things you get so frustrated with whatever it is that they're coping with.
Why won't you just
punch like an object?
Yeah, break something.
I think
Put your door.
some people do that too. But...
Just Fred Durst that shit. Break something.
Kick a door down.
I wouldn't mind getting a dog like this for Joey Jojo, you know?
Yeah.
When he tries to fucking write a song, the dog jumps up and pulls his hands down.
No, that's not good.
Come on, dog. You're right.
It's fucking funny, though. I like to train this dog to stop people from hitting themselves. That could be my new thing, is to be a dog trainer.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I got plenty of time all day.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Why not?
I would like to train a dog to go to the track with you and pick winners.
Oh, that'd be
Like
great.
go down and sniff out a winner and a dog. You know the jockey who won the last
Belmont?
Well, all of it. He won the Triple Crown. What's his name?
Oh, Velasquez.
He said on a show I was watching, you want to pick a winner, look for a horse with a heart on. If that horse has a horn on, bet on it because it's ready to go.
Guess I was checking out some horse dick.
And that's different from how many other times that you go out. Because a lot of times you don't even bet.
Totally different.
We're going to see Stanley sniffing around the paddock.
Yeah, that's his name, all right. Panic Sniffer. I saw him with just a big bottle of horse shit. Hot cakes.
Are you even trying to pick a winner?
All right, so look, I'm going to see if Chris knows this. So last night they did Family Feud Celebrity, right?
Okay.
And they said the nude magician pulled a rabbit out of his
ass.
Okay. For ass, they put up the term ham flour.
No, that's not real. That's
ham flour was an asshole.
Oh.
Can I tell you, I think that has got to be the most disgusting thing that they could put up
More
there.
than asshole?
Yeah, just say asshole because that, like, it actually made me retch. Ham flour?
I think
it's confusing.
Now, what is worse, do you think, is ham flour or chocolate starfish? Which one do you think comes across worse?
I'm going to say ham flour is worse.
What about this? Ham flour or bunghole?
Ham flour. Bunghole's
Ham
great.
Bunghole's pretty fun, actually.
I prefer bunghole.
All right, so all you guys hate ham flour.
Yes, it's the worst term I've ever heard. And the fact that no one said, ew, what? Like, everyone seemed to agree, like, old ham flour.
Yeah, I don't know how the show gets over like that.
Was that a thing before that show last night?
No, they fucking just made it up. Because there was another one where they said, have sex, right?
Yeah.
And they went bing, and they put up on the thing, sugar the cookie.
Oh,
and I'm like,
no,
you sound like you're...
That's gross, actually, if you really think about it, you know?
Well, it sounds like pulling out.
Yeah, exactly.
But aiming for...
Yeah. That's going too far, too specific.
Jizzing on the vagina. Let's see.
Let's see if that's up there.
Oh, sorry.
Damn it.
But they put up sugar the cookie.
That's crazy.
They're out of fucking thing. They're just out of their mind.
I'd be more comfortable with salting the honey pie than sugar the cookie.
We talked to 100 mints. Yeah, that show was fucking crazy last night. Then the weird thing about it was, like, it was Celebrity Family Feud, but they weren't all celebrities. They just picked one person and then let that celebrity bring his family on.
Oh, that's insane. You can't do that. You have to have all celebrity or nothing. Or bust.
First of all, why are you this angry? You don't watch it at all, ham flour. Why are you being such a ham flour about this?
Not
No,
even
he
to be
is.
I never want to come off like a ham flour. For real.
Ham flour has to end.
It's here to stay.
So fucking gross.
And all Steve Harvey does takes what the person says and then yells it at the audience in a very urban way.
Yeah.
You know? So if they would say something like, bring me my slippers, he'd be like, oh, first of all, he's shocked, and bring them slippers, right? Gotta have the slippers coming your way. And you're like, what are you doing?
He knows how to speak to the people.
Yeah.
He knows how to translate it.
I go, what are you doing an impression of? Step or fetch it? Because I'm sure Obama and Michelle sit home, watch fucking Celebrity Family Feud, and just go,
God damn it.
Nothing. We had zero impact. Zero impact, honey. Let's just get out of here. Where are they going to live? Do you think they're going to live full time in Hawaii when they leave?
No, probably not.
Where would they go? Back to Chicago? That seems like too much of a hassle. Too cold in the winter.
See them out in the West Coast.
San Diego? They'll just move to San Diego.
Or more of a Northern California. You just see them hanging out in Eureka.
Just really chill out.
I don't know. I think they're back in Hawaii. That's where they take it. We're going for every Christmas.
I mean, he's going to need the rest after these 8 years. Why not just go to Hawaii?
I mean, it sounds nice. Why
not? Tim in Maine. Hey, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
I was watching the Family Feud with my 8-year-old daughter, and I thought it was supposed to be a family-friendly show.
Yeah.
And after the whole rabbit out of the hat, or the naked magician, after they did the ham flour, whatever you called it,
that's it.
The next one, guess he pulls it out of his nutsack.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which doesn't even make sense.
And the mother said it.
Yeah, the mother. The celebrity mother.
Was it the nuts?
Pulled it out of his nuts.
And they put up nutsack on the board?
Now,
the whole show was blue.
Yeah, if you think we're kidding, it's up on the iBang right now where the old lady says nuts.
And it wasn't just this one question, because the question after that is, what animal has a bigger dick than you?
Right. Right. And then, like, the joke was supposed to be somebody was supposed to say chipmunk. That's what I would have just blown a fucking guess. I felt like if our family was ahead, I was just one. Would that be chipmunk? Just to get the dick. Oh, damn, he did. He did.
After some of the obvious ones were taken, like elephant and donkey, one of the Braxton sisters said, a walrus. I'm going to guess walrus. Mm-hmm.
I wish you were doing an impression instead of just fucking literally, that was it.
Oh my God.
There's no parody to that at all.
Walrus.
You know it is. Then they would get mad at everybody else's answer.
No! He's like, you guys have to support each other. This is not how the show goes.
Yeah, the Braxton girls are not nice to each other.
No.
Not like that Potter family was. Oh, this isn't ham flour, or it is it?
This is nuts.
All right, go ahead. Put up nuts. Oh, what the fuck she's wearing? Something yellow.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
He knew.
Look, Steve Harvey can't believe it. That be the dick hole.
Steve Harvey's setting them up with these dirty questions.
I want to guess they drank piss.
What?
Every single thing on this show.
See a man pull something out of his nuts, you're going to have to call Derek because he's an EMT. It ain't right. What else he going to pull it out of? Mama, I can't tell you. She said.
Steve, my answer is butt fuck. We need
have
a break
butt
here,
fuck
Chris,
on the board.
because you never tell me.
Yeah, we should break. We haven't broken yet today.
Yeah, I know, but as long as there's no live reads, I'm ready.
Oh, there's a couple live reads.
Coming up a little later on in our show, one of our best pals, Jimmy Shubert, is going to be here. What else we got coming on today, Chris? Anything else we need to talk? Oh, why don't you plug the Unmasked one more time?
The Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan Unmasked is happening Thursday, July 9th.
Right, let me just stop this.
Yeah.
It sounded like you said Jimmy Gaffigan.
Okay.
Like this.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Gaffigan. Jimmy Pop. Jimmy Jeannie Gaffigan. Jeannie Pop.
The Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan Unmasked is happening Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m. at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City. Go to the ibang.com for your free tickets.
Jimmy Gaffigan. Jimmy Pop. You're one crazy bastard, Stanley. You'd say nuts if it was our show.
Nuts.
Jimmy, Gaffigan, Jimmy, Bob. Right back, it's Bennington. All right, everybody name their favorite vodka. Joey, you first.
I would have to go with Titos.
Chris?
Titos vodka.
Gail?
I'm going to go a little different. Titos.
All right, there you just have it. 3 random people, and 100% of our polling numbers came back. Tito's vodka is number 1.
Tito's handmade vodka is America's original craft vodka. In 1995, Tito Beverage had the idea of building his own micro distillery.
Forget all that, Chris. Here's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
It just topped out at 100% on the Bennington poll. Everyone that we talked to going to Tito's vodka.
He acquired the first legal permit to distill in Texas and put his life savings into it, racking up 19 credit cards to build his
You're
own.
not even going to be in the moment, are you? You're just going to attempt to read. I'm talking about 100%. Not even a second person said something else.
Everyone's drinking Tito's. And since then, he's been awarded a 95 rating by Wine Enthusiast. Won the unanimous Judge's Choice double gold medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many others.
You know what? You make a good answering machine, but you're nobody to have a conversation with.
I just want to talk about Tito.
We were.
It's got a modest paper label on the simple bottle.
What does?
Tito's vodka. So all you pay for is the exceptional handmade vodka inside.
That's all I want to pay for.
Tito's
I don't pay for anything else.
Tito still makes his vodka by hand in the same land where he started it all, in Austin, Texas.
Does he know about the numbers of the poll that came in?
They're being sent over to him immediately.
But how? Carrier pigeon?
No. Electronically. They'll be on his desk in no time. Tito's handmade vodka is distilled.
He doesn't sit there and look at his laptop?
Well, he also has a smartphone. Tito's handmade vodka is distilled 6 times from 100% corn and is naturally gluten-free. Visit us at titosvodka.com for recipes, songs, and more. 40% alcohol by volume, handcrafted to be savored responsibly.
Tito!
This is Bennington.
I'm Bennington, Gail Bennington. No, Stanley. Bennington with a small B.
Well, still Bennington. I'll take
yes.
it. So,
at least you're saying it right now.
So, Bennington.
Did you have a nice day on Father's Day yesterday?
Spent it by myself.
At least Gail took care of her father.
It's good. You should. Cherish.
Make sure he's doing well. I look after him.
You know what? I was thinking about we went out for those lobster rolls yesterday.
We did.
Do you know there's people on the planet Earth that don't like lobster? And as a matter of fact, Pilgrims didn't even eat lobster. They thought of it as something like a cockroach.
I know, I have heard this, and I don't know if it's true. I don't want to swear by it, but it was something that I read once, that it was thought of as such a disgusting bottom feeder that early Americans would feed it to their slaves. And they're like, this is disgusting food. We'll give it to the slaves. Which I would imagine they'd have been like, yeah, this is gross. You don't want any of this.
Terrible. Don't give us drawn butter with it either. That's extra disgusting. You know what would really be bad? A little piece of steak right next to it. Steak and a lobster. Because that's your favorite thing, right? You surf or
surf and turf.
But you never just surf.
No, it's always surf and turf.
And you eat when? 1965?
It's a great time to eat.
It's something that shouldn't have fallen out of fashion, though.
It's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's hard to find anybody that'll do surf and turf. And then sometimes some places, they'll go, we have surf and turf. That's a burger with some shrimp next to it. And you're like, no.
It needs to be steak and lobster. And the great thing is...
And by the way, lobster tail.
Right. Just the tail and then the steak. Full steak. What's the great thing of that is... Who's to say you can't put that steak in the drawn butter?
It is true. You can just act like we're doing it all together. And there's not
nice little butter steak.
Yeah, that's healthy, they say. It's everything that the heart needs to close down and protect itself from blood flow.
I don't want this bad blood getting into my heart.
It's like your doctor's like looking at an x-ray and is going like this. You weren't dunking a steak in butter, were you?
You mean today? Or?
He's just tapping at it. This is insane.
Yeah, not today, but usually I do. Yeah.
Can I get some butter with that steak too? For my roll? And melt it, because I like to just leave me a small kiddie pool of drawn butter.
There are a lot of foods like that just fell out of fashion. Like surf and turf is like that. A little hello?
Yes.
Clams casino?
I
Is
don't
that
even
something
know
that
what's in a
gets-
clam casino. It's like it's clams that are.
I think it's like a stuffed clam with maybe a red sauce of some sort. It seemed to have been once thought of as a fancy food, and now I don't think it gets served anywhere. Maybe a couple like Atlantic City buffets or something.
This is something too that used to rock out there. A capon, which was a small chicken.
Yes. A
Yeah.
stuffed capon, if you will.
Yeah. I think that's what a capon is, right?
I think, yeah, it's a
Is it
small
stuffed
bird.
with cheese.
I don't know what it's stuffed with, but I feel like it's often stuffed.
Put capon and let's get some pictures of it.
Is it chicken?
It is a bird.
But a smaller chicken, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe, for some reason, I always thought goose capon was a thing. Like maybe capon is the way to do the poultry.
If I'm in a place and they have duck up, it's hard for me to move on from there. Only because I think of this. You don't normally eat a duck at your house.
Sure.
So if you're out and someone says, hey, would you like a whole duck? You're like, a whole duck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do. Could you bring some drawn butter and put it on that duck? And just make the skin just really crispy.
I had a dish for the first time, this was not too long ago, at a place that was like very old school. Like it reminded you of those old supper clubs, you know? And I felt like I had to get it because it's a name I've heard my whole life. And that was Crab Imperial.
All right, what exactly is the Crab Imperial?
It basically looked like if you just took a crab cake and put it in a large ramekin and then it was like then baked. So it's
How
like
was it?
It was super good.
But it is an old school.
It's an old school dish that I think would, like most, places would think that would be disgusting.
Has anyone thought of making like a Madman restaurant where you can smoke while you're eating?
Oh God!
Okay.
You eat these old things, and then for dessert they bring out the baked Alaska.
Right, that's the flaming.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's fire involved and ice cream.
Yeah, it's ice cream, and then some kind of whipped cream, I guess, on top of it, and then it's all burning. So you got all this like burnt stuff on the top. But I was on a cruise ship, and they're like,
"This looks amazing." The baked Alaska. Why would anyone ever stop eating it?
Every night we were there, right? I was out on a cruise ship, and we were very young at the time. And then everyone that we have to sit at their table, they're all older people, and they're like this. Last night is baked Alaska night. I'm like, what? It's all they would talk about. We'd be eating. Don't forget, last night, baked Alaska. Make sure you're in the thing. And we're all getting dressed up and, we're sitting at the captain's table. I sat at the captain's table. I had nothing to fucking say to the captain. You know what I mean? It meant nothing to me. So what do? You drive the boat. Huh? And then when the baked Alaska came out, it was on fire and the waiters pulled it and all these old people were clapping. They're like, yay. I'm like, I turn on the captain. I go like this. You realize there's fire on a boat right now, right, dude?
Shouldn't be happening.
How many miles we got to get out before we can spark up the weed?
Before we're on open waters.
International waters, right?
And does crack be part of that?
But I guess it becomes passé because it's just corny or.
Yeah, I mean, things have moved on. Like in the time of Mad Men, there was probably only a couple restaurants that people bragged about in New York, and most of them were steak joints, and most of them are still here now. Right. You can go and eat at Smith and Wool, and it might as well be 1954. Right. And there's a couple Italian places that are the same way. You know what I mean? But overall, we've moved on from it. All right, when the guys came back from Asia, the first Chinese food, does anybody know what was the first thing that people would eat that was Chinese food?
Fried rice.
No, you will see it in the old...
chow mein.
Chow mein was definitely one of them. I might even give this out as a prize.
Okay.
But you will see it always in the old TV shows brought up, and it's a very funny word.
And is it not as typical? Like, do you feel like you hear it less these days?
We've moved on. We've moved on these days. But it's always in the old TV shows. And as something that all the GIs broke by. That's kind of why Chinese food got popular. It's from like World War II. When the GIs got back, they were all telling their wives, you got to have some Chinese food.
It'll blow your mind.
You think about what was mostly the trend of popular restaurants, or at least what was thought to be like a high class kind of restaurant.
Yeah.
And it was like, what are you doing with beef or seafood? It was really the only option.
Beef for the man, seafood for his wife.
Right.
You know? She'd have something a little lighter. And if you even look back at those things, you got to keep those guys on top of it. When my phones explode, I got to get moving. But in those days, salads were so goddamn awful.
Right.
You know what I mean? A salad was just terrible.
A wedge.
Yeah,
It's an iceberg wedge.
A wedge was something creamy put all over it.
Some sort of mayonnaise-based dressing.
Yes, they
and
were
a
all mayonnaise-based.
Very white iceberg lettuce wedge.
Yeah. And then they went on to, act like we're going to add some stuff to it. All right, here's Jim. Jim, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Ron?
Yeah.
Are you talking about chop suey?
Chop suey is the word. You're going to go into our big-ass prize closet. Joey Jojo, tell me what he wins.
In honor of Father's Day, he wins Dirty Daddy, signed by Bob Saget.
Wow! That's a damn good one, Jim. But chop suey, by the way, no Chinese people have ever eaten.
Yeah.
And basically they say chop suey is table scraps.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've never heard, like, you're going around, you're like, hey, let's get some Chinese. What do you like? Chop suey.
Chop
It's
suey.
not something that's
And that
said
was the
anywhere.
initial thing that they all loved. We're going out, honey, big night tonight, chop suey. And the Chinese people would just be laughing.
Like,
You
it's
know?
our garbage plate. That's what we feed our dogs.
Right.
Probably.
But that is always funny to me how that kind of stuff, which at one point chop suey was probably every bit as famous and as well eaten as pizza.
Right.
And now I don't know whether you can find it anywhere.
No. Here's a outdated food, not from the same era.
Right.
But do you remember there seemed to have been a trend with blackened fish?
Well,
Whereas,
the
like,
80s.
Is that what it was?
Everything in the 80s
'Cause
was blackened.
I remember, like, when I was a kid, everything was like a blackened fish, and you never see that as much on a menu anymore as a good idea.
It all had to do with Chef Prudhomme. He was like the guy, Paul Prudhomme in New Orleans. And he's the one who, I believe, made the blackened thing a national dish. And then you would go in and eat at these kind of restaurants like Bennington's or whatever, you know?
Right.
And 8 of the 10 entrees were blackened.
Yes.
Blackened vegetables, blackened fish, blackened everything. And you're just like, it's not too good, but I guess it's supposed to be.
It's very trendy.
It's trendy, and I want to take my chick out.
I'll have to blacken tilapia, please.
Could you blacken it, but not so much like you've forgotten it, and just stop it?
Just burn it, please.
What is blackened? Just burnt spices on the
Yeah, I
crust?
think so. I don't know. I've never made it, nor do I want to have it in a post-90s, 80s world. You know, it was Wall Street time. You know, the fucking place.
All right.
Everybody was, hipping and hopping.
Sure.
It's like for some reason, out of when sushi hit America, the California roll and Boston roll got big. And no one in Japan has ever eaten such a thing in their life. They think it's fucking ridiculous. There's a place on First Avenue. They have a sign when you go in. We will not serve you if you asked for California roll. You won't be
Just
served. Yeah, just get up and get out.
This is
'Cause
not
we're
your
trying
place.
to do something.
There's so many places you can go.
Look who it is. It's Hard Rock Johnny. Johnny.
Boys, girls.
Hey.
What's up?
A capon, by the way, Ronnie, is a chicken that has its balls cut off as a youngster. It makes it more tender.
So that's a rooster.
Yes, it's a
not
rooster.
chicken at all.
And they cut the cock and balls off. And blackening, you have to cook it in a cast iron skillet.
And just blacken, you just cook it too long?
Well, it's like herbs, spices, and then there's also bronzing, which is when you instead of using cast iron, you use like an aluminum pan and you bronze food.
Now, what is the chicken dish that has cheese in it. They used to always
chicken
Cordon bleu.
Cordon bleu. There's also old school chicken Kiev.
Yeah, those
another
things
one.
you never see out.
Yeah, no
anywhere.
cheesy chickens anymore.
Yeah.
There was a whole, like, and do you remember what, and this goes, you want to go way back with stuff, when they used to put everything in, like, gelatin, and they would serve, like, chicken, like a chicken mousse.
I didn't
or they
know
would,
that.
It is terrifying.
And they would they would serve galantines and ballantines, which are like, that was things that were made in, like, puff pastry with fat around them. It was so gross. That's all, like, the classical French cuisine.
I have seen these old cookbooks where they're saying, like, here's the new trend, ladies. Your husband will love it. Cook everything in gelatin. So with all these desserts with like chunks of fruit and gelatin, but also dinners like chicken bits and
In
like
aspic.
vegetables in gelatin.
They call it, it's called aspic, and that's the actual, that's what Jell-O is. It's actually aspic, and you used to make it from the marrow of the bones. You would actually cook down bones, like the marrow that you would eat, like if you had an ossobuco, and you'd eat, that's how they get the gelatin from.
And this
originally.
is ass dick. I wouldn't eat that. I'm not eating ass dick.
Just try it. You'll like it.
All right, then you eat a ham flour.
No!
Made out of styrofoam.
I don't understand any cheese with chicken either. And nothing has ever tasted better putting it in a pastry. Ever. You want a pastry, have a pastry on the side.
Right.
But don't put your meat or fish inside a pastry. That's terrible.
And Clam's Casino, by the way, Gail, that was when they would use red and green peppers, so the colors that are associated with, like, roulette or the casino.
You know what, Johnny, it's like he was frozen.
I know.
In the early 50s.
Little known fact is I have a culinary arts degree, so when you do have a culinary arts degree, you have to go through the classical French cuisines and learn how to make, like, the 7 mother sauces and all this stuff that you'd never really use in real cooking.
Now, at one time, though, that stuff was around for decades, though, right?
Sure, forever. I mean, classical French cuisine goes back to the, 1400s. It goes way back, and and then it's, evolves over time. And then, you go through all these stages. Like, remember when then the gastronomy, like all that micro cooking and all that stuff, that was really great for like 2 days. People cooking with these different kind of chemicals that would make beads and stuff, and like that was like 2 years ago. That was like.
But we did Wally Dufresne's place and had a ball there. I mean, I don't even know if he's got a new one. They rented him out of that place.
Yeah, you told me that. WD 50.
Yeah, WD 50, right?
He's got a new place called Alder.
Where at?
It's all the way downtown.
Where? I mean,
I'm gonna find.
I want to go.
Ouch. Whoa, Tappy got fucking a little pissy with me.
How?
Anyway, dude, I did not know that you had a culinary degree.
Yes, that was part of my 4 years of college, was just going to cooking classes.
I love it, Johnny.
It was fun. Go get stoned, then go to school.
Okay,
Cook
so
bake.
it always comes
Cool
back
guy.
to getting high for you.
Real cool.
Hey, listen.
All right, well, we'll see where you are in a couple of years. You'll probably end up working at a Hard Rock.
Probably. In charge of famous pants.
All right, Johnny.
Later, kids.
You're on your way down to the beach, I guess, so have a great
No, it's
time.
Monday. It's Monday. It's early. It's early in the week. That'll be Thursday night. We'll go down Thursday night.
Okay. See you later, Johnny.
Later.
What about the old fondue trend? That seemed like that was the 70s, right? Where everyone was
Fondue.
buying fondue pots for each other.
Yes, you dipped either food into cheese and then desserts into chocolate, and then the fondue pots would sit up on the bars that the people had in their houses and fall over on the children and just scald. There was just so many children that were being fondued all up and down their chest, burning away layers of skin.
I see you have some fondue scarring. You must
Yeah.
be a child of the 70s.
Yes, my parents loved to entertain. Just sitting there attempting to just fucking make some sense out of why this has happened to you. Without getting you mad, where is this place?
I wasn't mad. It was on 10th Street and 2nd Avenue.
And what are the reviews like on it? They're going crazy for it?
It's got 3 stars on Yelp, 4 stars on Google reviews.
3 stars is low for Wally. But here's the thing: is it done the same way as
It's with like gastronomy.
I definitely want to go and try this new place and support him. This is what made me mad about him. That fucking neighborhood was a dump when he opened up. He made the neighborhood hip, And then the building fucking is like,
Throw 'em out.
okay, this neighborhood is doing so good because of you. Give me $100,000 a month.
I think that experience was like one of the most wild, where I think I ate some of like the best food, and then also food that I was like, really interesting. Don't want to eat that again, but way to be creative. with
I remember once we ate some sand that tasted like pizza.
Yeah, it was like little drops of pizza sand.
Yes. And they'll be like this. All right, and here's your menu. And then you would say what you wanted off the menu, which is always tasters. And they would go like, now eat your menu. It's edible.
What?
And now eat your fork. Just keep biting through the fork.
The snowsberries taste like snowsberries.
One time I was out in Chicago, and I know there's a lot of great places to eat, but I didn't know where to do, so I just called his restaurant, and everybody came running over with their ideas. Here's where I would go. It was so cute. They were all just like, you just hear all these people throwing in ideas. You got to try this place. Because Chicago, the rent's always real low.
Right. Well, that's a lucky thing that you have with some, like Chicago has that, Baltimore, Philly, where I feel like they are getting more interesting food scenes and art scenes in general, because you can actually afford to live there still.
Yeah, you could have, and also have some room to sit down. You know what I mean? Not everyone just packed in, going like this, but I can't get to my food. Yeah, but aren't you glad you're here?
We'll feed you. I know you don't have enough arm room, but
I love this place unless I have to be here at 10 o'clock, and then I hate it. I don't want to walk in when someone else is walking out and thinking I couldn't get a prime time thing. Where's Shubes?
They're coming up right now.
Should we break first?
Yeah,
or?
we should break first.
We break. It's Jimmy Shubert, and who's with him?
Claude Shires, comedian Claude Shires.
A lot of fun stuff coming up. This is Bennington. If Titos was a motorcycle, it'd be Harley Davidson. If Titos was a car, it would be Ferrari. If Titos was a spaceship, it would be the Apollo landing on the moon. If Titos was a woman, it would be Gina Lollobrigida. This is a lot of fun if you want to play this. Joey Jojo, you want to play this game at all?
I would love to.
Yeah.
If Titos was a planet, it'd be Jupiter.
Really? Because it's the largest planet?
Yeah, and the best one.
Okay, hold on for this one, though. Gail, why don't you try this?
Okay.
If Titos was a gangster movie, it would be?
Goodfellas.
That's the one. Everybody likes that best. All right, what about this, though? If Titos was an animal, it was going to be?
Man.
Okay. I was going to go lion, king of the jungle, but man works too.
But I never even think of us as an animal. He's pointed that out. It's another way of, it's another reframe of way of looking back at Tito's Vodka, because Tito's Vodka reframed everything. At one point, it was the Russian and Polish people, the rest of the people. And I hate to say this about the United States of America, but before then, we were just like this. We'll never make vodka that good as the Russians and the Poles. Tito Beveridge didn't listen to that. He came in and made a vodka that was a Harley Davidson, that was an Apollo spaceship, that was Goodfellas, that was itself man. Okay? Man. I mean, it was the first vodka to walk upright and carry a purse. Tito's Vodka, leaving the other animals behind. You see what he's doing there, Gail? I mean, let's face it. When it comes to evolution, we are animals that evolved so far that we can make great homemade vodka like Tito's Vodka. Let's see another species. Come on for this. You see anything that a panda makes? You can't even drink it. It's disgusting.
Gross.
It's panda urine. That's really the only liquid they've come up with after all these years. Where man... Now, here's the amazing thing. We've evolved so much that man can make vodka. But Tito Beveridge evolved so much that he makes Tito's Vodka, the best vodka on planet Earth, which, as far as I know, makes it the best vodka in the known universe. Like if aliens got here and they tried some Tito's Vodka, they're going to go like this. Hey, could we take some with us? I'll be like, you can buy some. I'm not just going to give it away to you, unless it's a peace treaty, unless you're going to back up and start shooting at us. And by the way, if you come here and attack this planet, you ain't getting none of this. None of it. Titos vodka.
Titos handmade vodka is distilled 6 times from 100% corn and is naturally gluten-free. Visit us at TitosVodka.com for recipes, songs, and more. 40% alcohol by volume, handcrafted to be savored responsibly.
Yeah, the real true detectives are here right now. Jimmy, Shubert, Claude, Shire. How you guys doing, man?
Good, man. Good. It's good
Thanks
to be
for
back.
having us. You know, last year was the summer of Shubert.
I have not stopped working, man. I get off that show, I got a blister on my mic hand. It's I have not stopped working.
Is that right?
I had to take a week off to go to my nephew's wedding, and I did recently had 1 week off, but it's just nonstop.
I heard that your new hour is maybe the best hour out there, and I heard it from 3 different people.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's high praise indeed. I'm very excited. Yeah, I've been working my ass off on it. I figured if I was out there, if I'm going to have no social life and live out of a suitcase for, I might as well come up with a new hour. But yeah, it's been.
Do you keep a home anywhere, Jimmy, or are you Tom Rhodes in it? Where...
I have a place in Los Angeles, but I'm never there. I have a friend of mine who's using it for this month, and so I said, yeah, just take care of the joint, all right?
I think it's so fun.
Dust, will you?
Yeah.
Dust while you're there. Because you go back, and it's like, it's crazy.
You guys are doing this really cool thing in Nashville that's coming up, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
August 17th to the 23rd. We're going to go in there and do a week long of tapings of our specials with some comedians.
Hours, half hours.
Yeah, it's a festival of sorts that we're going in there at the Belcourt Theater in Nashville, which is a great little theater. But Nashville's a cool little market. It's like a mini Hollywood kind of thing.
Well, everybody's loving Nashville now. There's a lot of music going on, a lot of buzz, a lot of good food happening there.
Yeah, it's like Hollywood with social graces. People, when you say hi to people, they actually say, "Hey, how you doing?" When you walk into the street, you say hi to a little kid. The mom doesn't yank the kid like it's some kind of pedophile. I don't know. You just cut off your ankle monitor or something.
You know what? Hollywood has never been kind to you, Jimmy, but you always go back.
I do. I always go back. It's I can't help it.
Claude, you said you used to listen to the Ron and Ron show in Tampa. Did you remember Jimmy being on this show?
It's funny. I ran into Shubert. I guess it was at the La Jolla Comedy Store, but I recognized that brass Philadelphia. Hey, bro, what the hell, bro? Jesus Christ, I got a bad wheel, So it's kind of distinct.
Yeah. But the leg's done better, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm actually been working it out, doing some yoga. I've been doing a DDP yoga.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it's not your mama's yoga.
Yeah.
It's like DDP. Putting the diamond cutter on it, bro. Putting the diamond.
Now, how do you do that on the road?
I got the DVDs. You pop in your laptop, and you just Diamond Dallas Page.
So this isn't yoga where you actually chill out and feel better. You cut a promo.
No, these guys. It's a Roddy Piper and Diamond Dallas Page, like coaxing you through a stretching position.
Now, Gail, you pretty much grew up with Shubert.
That's right.
During the Disciples of Comedy time, you were a little girl then, and used to see him. He was always your favorite, I believe.
Yes, you were my favorite.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is this the one that saw? Yes, she saw Mitchell at the racetrack.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I just worked with Mitchell at the Borgata in Atlantic City.
Oh yeah.
Ronnie, horse racing is the sport of kings. Until you go into the race book down at the Borgata and go, hey, doesn't look like any kings here. Hey, Mitchell, let me a yard till Tuesday. I'm empty. It was hilarious. But
his life is in the same place, though. You've got to give him all the credit in the world. He's bet against himself and won somehow.
He said to me, "I'm here for every race."
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you?"
Yeah, he's still.
So we could go to any race and see Mitchell there.
Yeah, he was too funny. You just watch the guy. I would see him on the day, be happy as a camper at night. Yeah. So I bet the Quinella, the numbers. It was 12.97. It came in 7.912. And Miss Max, it's like, guy, you can't treat. I go, Mitchell, you can't treat life like it's a betting window at a racetrack. Okay, have a little.
And he does. He sees everything that way. He sees everything as if he's doubling down. So who else are you guys bringing with you to Nashville?
This whole festival is really we're trying to, the name, disruptive comedy.
Yeah.
It was obviously, I think it fits perfectly for comedians. There's a disruptive group.
Right.
Tom Rhodes, Jimmy
Right.
Shubert, obviously, doing this amazing hour, and Steve Simone. And then what we really want to do is to bring in a bunch of new faces. Because we're tired of the networks kind of having this stranglehold on who's funny.
Right. We're living in the post-TV era anyway. Nobody watches TV anymore. I mean, that generation doesn't. But, I mean, if you have to go against a 24-year-old, a 26-year-old talent coordinator going, I don't get it.
Yeah, right.
No, it's just, I mean, it's not that, I'm not ironic. I know, I get it. I'm ironic Jimmy Shubert.
Yeah.
It's a new thing. I wear a bow tie and a set of glasses. It's a whole new thing. But it's
I always say this: the younger guys, they come on and you could tell what era someone's on, because the older guys will come on to kill on the show, right? They want to come in and destroy the room, beat it up, leave it, and then the younger guys come in and like, thanks for having me here.
You guys
So
like
polite.
He's leaning against the back wall with his foot on it. I go, could you act like you have something important to say? You know, this guy, a guy was featuring for me. He leaned against the back wall the whole show. Like, we were putting him out.
Yeah.
I go, could you just act like, I mean, how do you expect a room full of people to think what you're saying is important if you don't think it's important?
That show that Attell had, I thought was so damn good.
Late night?
Yeah,
Late night
no,
with
it was the Comedy Underground.
Yeah, the Comedy Underground. And everybody came out and killed. Everybody came out and put their knee to it. I mean, Shubert came out like it was a boxing ring, and he had to have the knockout in the first 3 minutes.
Well, that's the way I do comedy, man. I mean, if there's 2 people in the audience, there's 7 people in the audience that's sold out, I'm coming. I'm bringing it. But you know, I love David Tell's show because, you know, he edited it. Because I talked to him, and he said, no, I'm editing the whole thing myself because Comedy Central looks at comedy the way Romanian orphanages look at children. which killed me. But I thought he did an unbelievable job. It was I mean, when you say you're doing something different, when you actually felt like you were in the audience when they were taping that.
Yeah, that's very true.
And he picked the greatest, you know, he picked all the comics, you know, the comics coming out, like you said, out of the gate, you know, Tommy Rhodes and Jimmy Joyce and, you know, all these other guys that were just knocking it out.
Yeah, whether they're younger or veterans, man, everybody was killing on that show. And that's what you guys are looking to do in Nashville. Now, do you change your act depending on the town, Jimmy, or you just bring in the Shubert?
I bring the Shubert. I think if it's funny, look, if it's funny in Florida, it's funny in Chicago, it's funny in San Francisco, it's funny in Philadelphia. I mean, because, you know, you work on it. I mean, I work my ass off on I'll go stress out over words and the right way to put it, you know, word efficiency, word economy, get to the laugh. I don't, you know, but I was kind of like, I did with this new hour, I kind of softened it up a little bit. But, you know, there's just a couple things. I mean, it's all around you. I mean, we have become, it's just, you know, we just become dumber. I mean, just watching, you know, you go to the supermarket, they want you to check yourself out now and say, you know, I got to bag my own groceries, you got to pump your own gas. It's like, if there's any, you know, the guy said in California, they asked you, did you bring your bag? No, I didn't bring a bag, you more. I don't go to a restaurant and order a bowl of soup. Did you bring your own bowl? No, ladle the hot liquid into my face. You want some soft serve? No, I'm going to lay underneath the nozzle and fill my face with soft serve until I tap out, you ass. Of course I want to bag you. But then they charge you 10 cents. They charge you 10 cents. And you buy the cloth bags because you think you're doing good. Right. But you never have them with you. You got to bring your stuff by the supermarket. I got 20 in my kitchen. And I finally went down. I threw them all in the trunk. It takes me 7 minutes to sift through them because I don't want to go in a Ralph's supermarket with a Gelson's bag or a Whole Foods bag. I'm going to, fuck, I just want to buy some fruit. And then, you know, and then they, you know, it's, you know, they try to get you to the self-checkout thing is obnoxious.
No, you know what? You've let it get to you, Jimmy. You shouldn't.
No, I know. I should let it go.
Back off.
I know.
Peel back off a little bit.
How do you fucking scan an apple, right? How do you fucking beep?
No, that's a good point.
Beep. See a fucking cashier. Beep. See a cashier. Yeah, I see 3 of them. The 3 you handle to fucking take care of 900 people that are standing in line. That's why I'm over here scanning an apple. You know, I can't. It's interacting with machines. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to.
So you brought some nice cupcakes for us today.
Yes, I brought some nice cupcakes.
You know what? That's a Philly guy. That's a classy guy. It's like, you know what? I don't want to walk in there empty-handed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I want to bring something nice for everybody.
Yeah, some cupcakes. Get you some Tiamo cigars.
You know what? Where'd you get? You got the cupcakes from Molly's?
Yeah.
Very nice. See, that's doing it the right way. That's doing it the right way.
We had them delivered downstairs. We met the guy downstairs. It was nice.
Did he?
Yeah.
You used to come into the studio with something else delivered downstairs, but you know what? We all move along.
Those days are long gone, Ronnie. I retired my straw. It was a Hall of Fame career, but I retired my straw. Show up at the studio. I got a 40-pound monkey on my back. I tell you, 40-pound monkey. Come on, Spanish. Eddie, make the hurt go away. Yeah, those were the days.
Sure, we the people.
Yeah,
you know,
we the people. Listen, I remember those days. You stay at the hotel and they put you in a handicap room. You had two peepholes the whole night. You working up and down. You woke up with a big red ring around your eye from staring. You had two peepholes, one for the top, one for the bottom. And they're coming to get me.
You went to see if somebody was crawling up on him.
Yeah, just in case they said a midget hitman. You had the. Yeah.
So you live basically on the road. I mean, you're based in L.A., but the road is your home.
Yeah. Well, for the last year. I mean, I'll go back after. I'm going to Canada after this. And
Are you going to be in Montreal?
No, I'm doing the Edmonton, Rick Bronson's House of Comedy in that Edmonton mall up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a giant mall. They got a beach area. They got an ice skating ring. They got a gun range. I love the Canadians. The Canadians will put a gun range in a mall, give a lunatic a chance to warm up before he goes on a shooting spree. I get down, this guy's 9'9". He must have worked out. But they brag because there's no gun violence up there. But you're up there, there's 7 stabbings, 8 stabbings.
Well, Edmonton was where that one carny worker cut the guy's head off on the bus. Do you guys remember that?
No, did he really?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
The homeless dude.
Yeah, it was on the bus where everybody, I guess, just wait while you know how long it would take you to sever a head?
With a pocket knife?
Yeah.
Nobody was stepping in.
Nobody was stepping in. They're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're
that's their business.
I just saw a story in China too. There was like a stabbing. He stabbed 100 people over there, like 9, like I think.
Yeah, but it's packed. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, they did that in an intersection.
I don't think they value life over there. Well, you got 1.7 billion people. That's a lot of people. It's just,
right.
It's you go over there. You use their urinal at the train station. A guy comes in on your right. Hey, buddy, what are you doing here? I'm just trying to urinate. They don't care. They have no consideration.
Comes in on your right to share with you. I understand.
They don't care. They don't have any value of personal space over there whatsoever.
It's true, and I noticed even a lot of the people in New York, if they're foreign, the people who run some of the food carts, they're constantly touching each other.
Yeah.
They constantly touch. In America, if somebody touches you, they've crossed the line.
Yeah, well, there's two sides to that. Now, I say, that way your immune system builds up.
Right.
And you don't get sick that easy because you're constantly exposed to diseases from these food carts. You get a strong immune system. That's why when the plague hit, all the people in the upper echelons of society died off first because they weren't in the street. The people in the street had very strong immune systems.
So we're actually the offspring of the dumbest people of Europe.
Way to handle those 99%ers.
Yeah.
But that's but over there it's just people are coughing, sneezing, hacking. You're just going, come on,
that
real
was a Journey song.
Yeah.
Coughing, sneezing, hacking.
I mean, every time you put your hands in your pocket, you're shaking hands with a Chinese guy. There's a lot of Chinese guys over there.
And then on the other hand is Mitchell Walters.
Yeah, for every
what are you doing in there?
Yeah, for every Chinese guy, there's 9 Chinese guys. That's how many Chinese guys there were. It's not even a joke.
The Disruptive Comedy Festival is happening in Nashville, Tennessee, August 17th to the 23rd. Their Twitter account is @DisruptComedy. Jimmy Shubert, Tom Rhodes, and Steve Simone will be performing. That's @DisruptComedy.
And you guys got that beautiful theater.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, Belcourt. It seats it's 288, but with the camera kills it's about 250. But it's going to be a nice little. You shoot it much, but it's got a nice kind of framing on the stage and stuff. It's really nice. It's really nice. It's perfect for what we're trying to do. I mean, you make it look like it seats 500. With all that.
It actually sits closer to 300, but I think we'll be 280 maybe.
Or 500 Chinese people.
That's right.
Yeah, because they're tight.
We double up.
One train load of Chinese people.
Jimmy Shubert, we go back a long, long way. And then Claude said he used to listen to us when he lived in Tampa. Gail, you were a little girl then and came out to all the Disciple shows. And why was Shubert your favorite? Is it because he was like an angry Muppet back then?
I'm not sure.
He was very colorful vests.
I think it was something to do with that.
Yeah.
Maybe the voice.
Yeah.
I think back then I used to dress like the Jack of Spades. I had a very colorful vest with the Mickey Mouse. I had colorful
Red Lightning.
No, I used to come out. I used to come out because I always thought that you want to look like you're successful. And to this day, it's like that's why I wore suits on Last Comic. It separates you from everybody else because I always felt like you get paid for your professional point of view. And I used to dress up more, but the clothes get beat up traveling. But when you're doing those big events, I always wear suits and ties.
Well, yeah, when you're dressing for success, and who is more successful than the Jack of Spades? Perhaps of every face card, it's the Jack of Spades.
That's the Queen of Hearts, actually.
And honestly, every time I ever worked with Shubert, he worked my club, just took the stage like a bull, just coming out. Just shot after shot after shot. You get more jokes per minute, I think.
Well, it's funny because when I was developing, I had done stand up about probably 3 or 4 years, and I was coming into this developmental phase of the stand up, and then I wound up going on the road with Kinnison, who was doing these 5,000 seat arenas, and you're going, how do you make 5,000 seats intimate? And you have to be kind of big enough for the people in the back to see you, and you had to perform the whole joke, and that's kind of where that kind of
you were a kid then too, right?
Yeah,
you hadn't been doing it long.
I hadn't been doing it long. No, I was just a kid. But I was talking with Mitchell about it. That guys like Mitchell Walters and Carl LeBeau and Sam really kind of watching these guys, and these guys were like coaches. Like, hey, you got to do this. You got to wait a little extra minute because that joke's going to come up. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to come back down when you're doing those big houses. And even Mitchell he would help me with just shorten that up and put this here and LeBeau and these guys were some great. You're touring with what was at the time one of the most controversial comedians in America. You're hanging with these guys and doing shows every night, and you felt like you were in a rock and roll band, except but you were doing stand up. It was really
Dice was telling me that before him and Kinnison had the falling out, that they were close at the store. And Dice helped Kinnison develop that character. I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, they were buddies. In fact, when I first went out to Los Angeles, I had worked with Andrew a couple times in Philadelphia, and he was like, making the grade had come out, and I actually started to hang out with him, and and then I wound up was working on a bit, and he wound up he goes, what do you, the next, 2 nights later, Kenny goes, what do you think of this bit? And I go, are you serious? I told you that 2 nights ago. But then, I love Andrew, but it was just, he was trying to get something done. He had to believe it and be bigger than life, and he had hey, enough about me. What do you think about me? And I used to introduce him when he used to do this thing at Larry Parker's Diner. I would go up, it was called Kamikaze Comedy. We would go in the Chinese Man Theater.
I love this.
And I would go up and stand and right before the movies, about 10 minutes before the movies, I go, ladies and gentlemen, not since the Beatles, Andrew Dice Clay. And he would go up and go, oh! And he would do 10 minutes before the movie started. And people loved it. And we would go to Larry Parker's Diner in Beverly Hills, and about 2:30, I go, ladies and gentlemen, ding, ding, ding. And he would do a set at the diner.
Now, were you supposed to work there, or you just did it on your own?
No, he did it on his own. He would just go up. He would just go up and just
great.
Until we got locked up. Well, we get thrown out of Ben Frank's. It was the night we did it, and the cops showed up, and hey, what's going on? And they threw us out. We weren't allowed back in, but it was something we did.
I did it on tours to people before, friends of mine. I would just bring them, we'd be at NASA, and I would just bring them out as if they had something to say. And as I introduced them, I just head right for the fucking door. Give them a big introduction and get out of there before the shit started.
This is my favorite Dice story.
Yeah.
I used to do remember First Blood?
Yeah.
The first one came out, he breaks down, he goes, we were in a bar in Saigon, and Johnny comes in, the bus was quiet, and it's Johnny, take me home, I want to cruise about 55 wheels, and the Chevy till the wheels fall off, and it fell back to Vegas, and they come out, and then I memorized this monologue, and one night, I went to the Comedy Store, and I started doing it. I did it for Dice. He thought it was hilarious. He then gets Gallagher comes out, and we did it on the sidewalk. He goes, no, the people inside got to see this. So I walk in, I do it. And then I go out back, and the Dice has me do it again. Now we're out front again, and there's a cop with a spotlight on me, and I'm screaming on Sunset Boulevard, oh, they took my legs, Johnny! They took my legs! and people are looking over the thing. And then that night, he goes, I don't know in my head, but he wrote a movie called Comic and the Con. So he's living out this movie thing that he's doing, and he calls his old agent, and he goes, I got a kid for you. You got to see him. So he goes in. We go to Beverly Hills. I called in sick from work. I was working at a mail firm, mail room at a law firm, and I calls in, and we go in. He goes, Jimmy, wait here. And he goes in. He does the whole look. This kid, I got to tell you something. He gets the whole dice thing, and I walk in, and we close the door. And he looks at me, and goes, Jimmy, when you feel it. And I started going into this, and I'm screaming. And the guy's jaw, as I'm doing, I see his jaw hit the table. Like, what the hell is going on here? And he goes, I don't know what you want me to do. This, I just, this goes, I bring you the kid, and this is what you got to say. You know what you got to do with this? And I walk, I'm trying not to laugh. But as soon as we open the door, everybody in the place is looking at the guy's door like, we showed up to collect a gambling debt or something. I'm with Mitchell and Dice Man. And we walk out the car, and he goes, shit, windows up there. We were dying laughing. I mean, nothing came out of him. I mean, just to do that. I mean, who does that?
I know.
And we jumped in this, like, he had this green Cadillac. He pops on Sinatra, and we're just driving around. But
that's the thing about his Dice is like he lives his life like it's a Punk'd episode, but there's no fucking cameras. You know what I mean? Like he's just doing that shit to people.
He talks about himself in third person too.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta love it, man. I still one of my favorite Dice stories was going into this agent and just said, I don't know what you want me to do with this. I mean, I'm not really a casting person. What?
By the way, you know who got Dice to move to L.A.? Mitchell Walters. Mitchell Walters said to him, look, you should be out in L.A.
You know what? That's right. He did say that. He did say that. He said that Mitchell Walters was responsible for his career. I got to tell you, when Dice was at the peak, I mean, that guy was a dynamic performer.
Sure.
I mean, and I was a kid at the Comedy Store as a doorman there, and you would watch guys like Jim Carrey go up. This guy got standing ovations.
Right.
I mean, you've never seen that. This guy would do these facial impressions. I mean, you get to watch that every weekend, and you got to watch guys like Dice Clay and Arsenio Hall and Sam. I mean, and these guys were monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the guys I learned from. I'm watching these guys just obliterate that main room, I mean, Kinnison at a tough time, he would actually walk people for like the first thing where people would come out and they wouldn't get his jokes a little bit. And he goes, you know what I want you to do? I want you to take a napkin. I want you to write down the names of 5 of your sacred dead. Pass it up here so I can wipe my ass with it. And people would just beeline for the exits. I mean, until he figured out what he was doing. But you're in a front row seat to watch these guys lunatic, and they all lived in Crest Hill. It's so funny because I lived there with Mark Maron because there was generation of guys. Those guys, the generation before me, those guys all lived up there. And Mitzi had this. It was I called it Mitzi's Home for Wayward Middle Acts, and we lived up there. And me and Mark Maron lived up there, and at the time, and every night after the Comedy Store, Kinnison would come up with freaking just like Ron Jeremy and Billy Idol and Ted Nugent, and it was just the place we were living. These guys were coming up from like 2:00, and then the Bolivian marching powder started coming out. Next thing you know, it's 6:00 in the morning, trying to get ready for your 6:00. You got to get to leave to work in a mail room in a law firm, and I remember Mark Maron pulling out his guitar with Ted Nugent, going, "Hey," I think, really, you pulled out your fucking guitar with Ted Nugent? But it was crazy, and that was the, I mean, you look at Mark, and it's so funny. He just had freaking Obama on his podcast, going, "Are you?" I mean, this is
unbelievable. Yeah,
this is the craziest world we're living in now.
Now, not only that, but people are mad at Obama for dropping the N-bomb on Maron's podcast. Yeah. Wow. So I don't know what the context was, Chris. Do you have that? But
narcissist.
I guess he said he was the number one or whatever. I don't know. Dan, have you heard the Maron thing yet? Have you heard in what context the president did this?
I heard some of the interview.
But you didn't hear that part.
Of why he did it?
Yes.
No, I mean, I know that he was like reaching out to try to, that they were going back and forth for a while, and Marin was like, should I come to the Oval Office? And they're like, no, he wants to come to the garage.
No, but I mean, why Obama felt the need to drop the N-bomb, and what was the context?
Oh, the context was he was talking about how the racism just goes beyond it being socially unacceptable just to use that word. That it's not just, oh, we can't say that word.
I wonder why
in
he would
public
say it
anymore.
there and nowhere else. Like, why wouldn't he say it during a speech or in front of Congress? I would have loved it.
Well, you know, we live in this brave new world. I mean, podcasting, social media. I mean, I just think it's balls out. I think that's a monster. I mean, he had the security guys in his house with they had snipers on his neighbor's roof,
Sure, of
and
course.
stuff, and putting a tent in. I mean, that's just amazing.
Let me tell you, whenever you're around a president of the United States, the fucking molecules in the air change. Like you could be the most jaded person ever, but when the standing president walks in, I'm not talking about Clinton, who's retired, right? Yeah. And you might not think shit of Hillary now, but if she wins, you will feel it around her because it's just the center. It's the center, and I don't see how it doesn't fuck everyone up. You know, it's like the highest drug you could have.
Yeah, it's just like at least a whirlwind of people in its wake.
Yeah, 12 now. Running.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. How many?
12, I think.
12 Republicans?
Republican field, yeah, 12.
Well, no one's going to beat Donald T. Rump. He's the fucking top
I mean,
of the...
right now, it's like trying to figure out which one of the Golden Girls you'd like to fuck. You know, it's like, maybe.
I already had mine, but I didn't know it was hard for everyone else.
B. Arthur.
B. Arthur.
Yeah, it goes without
Easy.
saying B. Arthur.
Easy, yeah.
And she's on top, always. And I'm face down. You know what? I went way too deep into this. Chris, do the Plug City.
The Disruptive Comedy Festival is happening in Nashville, Tennessee, August 17th through August 23rd. For all information, go to @DisruptComedy on Twitter. Jimmy Shubert will be performing, Tom Rhodes and Steve Simone. And for all of Jimmy's stand-up dates, go to JimmyShubert.com.
Claude, you're like the creative guy for this. You can see the big picture. Like, Shubert cares just about himself, but you care about everybody.
hey, come on, bro. No, well, basically, like, you know, I created a crowdfunding platform. Do you guys know what Kickstarter is?
Yeah.
Sure. So I created one that was basically Kickstarter, but for film and video only. It's called TubeStart. And the whole idea behind this was that you can put up an idea, and if other people like the idea, then it gets made, right?
That would fund you.
Yeah, it would fund you. So I created a stand-up comedy YouTube channel called Stand Up Bits, really as a way for the comedians to have a level playing field. Because how many comics do we know that can kill with 15 minutes or 2 minutes or 8 minutes, but they don't have an hour? So I was like, let's extract their best material and use it. And this is really kind of what I think we're trying to do with Disruptive, is we're taping all the specials. We're not going to because right now, 2 billion people visit YouTube every month. I mean, I think the writing is on the wall that broadcast TV is just going to undergo what happened in the music industry. So
yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? It seems like everything is upside down, you know?
Yeah. And Claude actually does all the post-production on all the comedy specials anyway. He used to do stand-up comedy. I used to actually take him on the road with me, and then he started this post-production business, and one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to post-production and color correction and fixing all that stuff. I mean, his garage.
We did Dice's last special. I worked on Joan Rivers' last special. I mean, it was, so learning that whole process, and, you know, comedians, it's like we're great at telling jokes, but we have a lot of time on our hands. So for me, I just capitalized on that time to learn this stuff, and now it's like, let's go make this. We don't have to wait on anybody else.
But it is true. You got to be so excellent to get me to sit through your 1 hour. You know what I mean? There are so many people that if you could just take a couple of minutes, you're like, I like that dude. You know what I mean? But by an hour, if you're 40 minutes in, you forgot his first 3 minutes. You know? You're like, shut up, dude. Seriously.
Let it go.
Well, yeah, there's no diversity in ours, and I think Netflix is really the 600-pound gorilla, because they're the ones that are really buying all the comedy right now. And I think as a comic, you really want to be seen more. I mean, Comedy Central, what, Jimmy? 2 times? 3 times?
Yeah, they show 2-3 times. I mean, Showtime, they run it a little more than that, but I mean, Netflix, it's out there, and I don't care what anybody says. Netflix right now, that's like having an HBO special in 2003. I don't know what it'll be 5 years from now, but right now it's Netflix. Yeah. And, you know, that's where everybody's going. But you got Hulu, you got Amazon Prime streaming, you got you know, I mean, there's a lot of venues now that are buying original content, but most of them are online streaming services because television is almost, like you said, is going through what the music industry does. They're really trying to, like Comedy Central there was a New York Times Magazine article about
yesterday
trying to navigate the post-TV era and trying to figure out and engage that audience. But anybody under 30, I mean, that's the problem. They're putting the content out there for people that are under 30, but they're not watching TV. They're watching it online.
70% of views are on mobile now.
If you watch Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, I mean, he's playing to two audiences. You're playing to your mainstream TV audience, and then you're dropping down onto an online audience as well and trying to juggle both at the same time. Why not just kind of lean into it anyway? Because it's just, I mean, The Tonight Show is just, it's like karaoke with celebrities. You know? I mean, it's turned into this thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not.
But see, me, I do like pizza frisbee, so I am going to watch. It's like, oh, this is great. Your guys are playing games now.
So sophisticated.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's quite sophistication. But, you know, here's the thing that happens with a lot of specials. They come and go so fast now. We've gotten away from that way of how do we promote them? How do you get people to sit down and watch them? Because I remember like years ago, if Carlin did a special or even Dennis Miller or whatever, those things were like big events.
Yeah, they were big events.
And now they're just whipping by. They're whipping by.
Well, I mean, you know, people are doing a new hour every year. I mean, you're setting the standard. You're setting the bar awful high. I mean, you know, you look at Carlin. Carlin was a content monster. The guy's got 21 albums, 14 HBO specials, 8 books. I mean, if I live to 80, which is probably bet against it, but take me in the Deadpool.
Hey, would you be weird if I got a life insurance policy on you? Would you be weird?
No, but take it. I mean, I don't think anybody will reach that kind of content. I mean, you know, it's like
different world.
Yeah, I think you gotta, you know, I mean, guys are putting them out there. I mean, me and Claude worked and produced my last hour Live and Kicking, which is available on iTunes, and we did the whole thing top to bottom. And I said, well, how tough could it be? I wanted to see if I can produce an hour of broadcast quality television on my own, just to see. It cost me about $28,000. We did this cute little short film with Billy Gardell and Gary Valentine and Joey Coco Diaz, which led right into the hour special. I thought it was really creative and clever, and I put some other stuff on there, like, you know, we went to Afghanistan with Drew Carey, and we did like a 45-minute kind of documentary of what that was like. And so I was like, well, can you do this with 6 specials? Can you just go in and take a week and just shoot these specials, bring the cost way down and see if you can?
Yeah, we're shooting 14 hours. So it's going to be very exciting. I mean, it's really my first time coming from the, you know, other side of the whole situation. So I'm terrified and excited.
You're not going to sleep. You're not going to sleep.
It feels like it's next week's to me, and it's August 17th.
Yeah.
So did you feel like that you shot as well as any network could shoot when you were shooting your last special?
You know, the thing, I thought there might have been a couple lighting issues, but, you know, we shot it till we got it right. I thought, yeah, there was just a couple lighting things, but yeah, I thought it was as good as anything. I think content-wise is as good as anything. I mean, I like Doug Stanhope's No Refund special. Was that the best produced thing I know? The content was amazing. I thought it was brilliant. But, you know, I thought, you know, maybe that's what the way they shot it on purpose, but I thought it could have looked a little better. But, yeah, I thought I did the best job with what I had and the tools I had. And people tell me they like it. They watch it all the time. So
it's content for sure, yeah. Super funny.
Well, you know, it always comes down to lighting, though, doesn't it? From a shooting point of view, like even when people are shooting on their phones, if it's a beautiful day out, it's going to look great. Yeah. But anything other than that looks like shit.
Yeah, well, Danny Bevan said that last night. Actually,
that's what John Malkovich said. He said it's not about acting. It's about lighting.
Overexposed or underexposed?
Yeah, it's all about lighting. Yeah, as long as the lighting looks good, looks all right. Everybody ready?
Well, when you were shooting your Jimmy Shubert DDP yoga hour, is that just you in a boxer shorts in a hotel room?
No, I actually love that. Like he shoots, like he does the wake up, like he's in bed. He goes, all right, we're gonna wake up with some yoga, and then he's laying in the living room in a fireplace. He's doing it the way you would do it,
right?
You know, so it's actually pretty cool. But he's laying by a fireplace teaching you how to breathe for the diaphragm, put the diamond cover on your diaphragm. But it's but watching him do yoga from his bed, you know,
he actually looks like he could have been one of the Shubert brothers. When the Shubert brothers would come into a room, everybody's like, keep an eye on them because they're going to come together like a fist.
That's hilarious. I was just with my pops yesterday. Yeah. You know, my dad was a Philadelphia detective for like 30 years, and he's got these great stories. You know, he's like, you know, they did this thing in Philadelphia to do the Vidocq Society, where all these retired police officers officers. They examine these cold cases, and stuff like that. And he was telling me this story about this, like the bank robbery. You have these two guys run in to rob the bank. There's a wheelman outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Trips the silent alarm. The two guys in the bank run out the back door. They leave the wheelman sitting out there, but he's got cigarettes out the cops quarantine off the block. There's nowhere for this guy to go. He's just sitting there chain smoking. There's a pile of cigarettes. He goes, what's going on? They run the guy, they ask for his driver's license. They run his license. They figure out he's the wheelman because there's a rap sheet of all these robberies. Right? This is like the day before Halloween. They pop this guy. They're coming in. They bring him. They lock him up. They're bringing him in. And the captain of the squad is attending a big Halloween party with his wife, with the mayor, the police commissioner. It's a big to-do. She's excited about it. So they come in. The captain of the squad's getting ready to go home for this costume party. He's dressed like a rabbit. This guy's like 6'5", 270. He's got his nightstick. He wrapped it in plaster of Paris. They painted orange and put a leaf on it. He's dressed as a giant bunny rabbit. He goes, guys, you can't do this to me. If I miss this Halloween party, my wife's going to kill me. He goes, no, but we'll try to get him he goes, no, you get him to tell you right now. And the guy's going, man, F you, man. I ain't got nothing. I don't know nothing about nobody. And the guy's, come on, look, help me out here, will you? And the guy's giving him a hard time. And you hear a knock on the glass. The guy goes, what? He goes, you tell him. He's going to tell you, or he's going to meet the rabbit. so the guy goes, what? The rabbit? Oh, man, fuck you. And fuck the rabbit. And he goes, all right, man, I try to be your friend here. I try to be your friend. So the guy gets up, shuts out the light, and closes the door. He goes, turn that light back on. Turn the light back on. Turn the light back on. About 5 minutes go by, you hear the door creak up, and you see this giant silhouette of a bunny rabbit comes hopping in the room, and he just proceeds to beat the hell out of the guy with the knife. Dark, and he's banging, beating the hell out of the guy, and he hops out of the room. And the guy's going, man, son of a bitch, that rabbit beat the hell out of me. He goes, man, I tried to tell you that. Didn't I try to tell you that? You got to help me out here. Because he goes, I'm not, fuck you and that rabbit. He goes, all right, you want to meet the rabbit? He goes, no, I'll tell you what happened. So he gives up these two other guys. They would have got him eventually. But the next day, they take the guy down. They get arraigned. They take him to arraigned. He goes, Your Honor, I was under duress. I got beat by a giant bunny rabbit. And the judge goes, send him down for psychiatric evaluation, right? But the interrogation technique was so well. I think they used it like 4 or 5 other times. And
they got the rabbit suit there.
And all of a sudden, the captain of the squad gets a phone call from a judge. He goes, hey, this is the 5th guy to come through my courtroom telling me he got beat by a giant bunny rabbit. If you guys, I don't know what's going on over there. One more guy, there's going to be an investigation. So whatever you do, knock it off. But I mean, back in the 70s. When
they didn't have computers. They didn't have to sit around and figure out what DNA belonged to who.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have CSI.
They just kept smacking until somebody said, I know who did it.
Yeah. Well, that's what you had to do when you didn't have the CSI showed up with the database.
Right.
Which I go, it's amazing to me that people even commit crimes, because all you have to do is watch one episode of the Forensic Files, and you're going, you can't
get away. Yeah.
No, you could be choking somebody in the struggle. A pubic hair could dislodge, fall down your pant leg, and there it is laying next to the body. The CSI's going to show with the tape, pick up the pubic hair, put it underneath the microscope, look for a little root that's chock full of DNA. I mean, with the technology they got now, you could fart at the crime scene. They got there soon enough and bag that rascal up and send it down to the FBI lab, and they run that through the high-pressure gas chromatography tube, and then match it up with the database of noxious smells, and found out the fart of the consistency of a cheeseburger, large fry, and a Diet Coke from McDonald's on the corner of 48th and 6th, because of something they use in the fry later. It's indigenous to that McDonald's, and traces of that show up in the fart. Then they go back into the McDonald's and view the tape, and there's your dumb ass eating a cheeseburger, and they zoom in, and your flies down, and pubic hair's hanging out. They got you. Gunk, gunk. Gunk, gunk.
I like that you even threw in 48 and 6 so we could all go, hey, we know exactly what he means.
Yeah, I was on it.
Jimmy Shubert and Claude Shire are in studio. Jimmy will be performing at the Disruptive Comedy Festival in Nashville, Tennessee, August 17th through the 23rd. For all information, go to @DisruptComedy. And Jimmy's special, Live and Kickin', is available on iTunes.
And let me tell you, there's nothing like seeing Jimmy live. It's a true story.
Thank you, Ron.
He just takes over the room, and you could hear what he does here, but it's bigger, because if there's any laugh that he could milk out and try to make larger, just to see an addict just being after his laugh dope is what he's doing the whole time up there. Good to see you guys.
Hey, man, thanks for having us in, Ronnie. I appreciate it. Great seeing you, my friend.
Always great
nice.
seeing
I like
you.
that it's a family affair
It's
here
a family now,
That's
yeah.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
And stay in touch with us as this thing's approaching. Just keep giving us calls.
Absolutely,
All
man.
right?
Thank you, Ronnie.
And we'll see you guys next time. That's it. I'm out at the 92nd Street Y tonight with Lisa Lampanelli. Should be a lot of fun. And it's all about what's going on in her life, and she's transforming and all that. Should be great. All right, see you guys later in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!